Hello everybody. Oh god, where am I? Uh-oh, guess who forgot to start YouTube Studio? It's me. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I am on my way. Late to my own party is such a mood. Fine cognito, true. Oh, okay, well, chat is popping off. That's nice. Yep. Give me 1 second. Goodness gracious. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my very self-indulgent 1-year anniversary stream. 1 whole year of making VTuber content relating to biology. Okay, very cool. Let's click that, and we're here. We're here. Everything is fine, and we're here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, More Juice. Hello, Mylan. Welcome. The Wolf, welcome. Neutrophil Mapping, hello to all of you. Hello, Resta, Detria. Nice to see you all here. Hello, Nicholas. Kevin, welcome. Thank you for showing up to my 1-year anniversary of making content on YouTube. Let's just get right into it. Well, I have a whole lot of, I don't know if you'll find them entertaining, but I found them entertaining to do, little activities to do for today. Just to look back on this previous year and all of the excitement that comes with starting a YouTube channel and then finishing out a year and keeping with it, which is honestly is quite rare for me. As you've seen in my failure stream, I've had a lot of different creative endeavors. None of them made it quite this far, which is very, very exciting. All right, so what are we doing today, guys? So I first want to talk about milestones and memories, of course, since it is my first year on YouTube. There are going to be a whole bunch of those. And then I want to take a look at the data, right? It wouldn't be a Fi the Neutrophil stream without looking at some data, right? So looking at some of my analytics might prove to be somewhat interesting or completely boring, but I assume that if you are in my audience, then that will at least be of slight interest to you. Thank you, Resta. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to being a progenitor cell. Yeah, and then I want to talk about some superlatives. I'm looking back on my 1 year and thinking about what stands out in certain cases. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, More Juice, for the orange super. Can't stay long because I'm traveling, but congrats on 1 year. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my god, it means so much to see support for this little guy over here. And then after we do some superlatives, including a tournament where we rank the best little guy that Toxo has drawn, we're going to get into unwrapping some presents and having a little snack. I've invited some of my VTuber friends for a little bit of a celebration where we get to look back on all the great content that we've made. And then to round out the stream, I'm going to be looking forward to 2025 to see what this little guy has in store for you all in the future. All right, so that's how the stream is going to go. So let's just get right into it. I'm excited. Okay, so first I wanted to just have this little bit of self-indulgence where I take a look back at the very first piece of public content that I made for this channel, and that is this humble little YouTube short teasing my debut, which, by the way, if you are a VTuber, you probably already know that it is generally not advised to start with a debut stream as the first piece of content that you do, because if no one knows who you are, no one is going to show up, right? I mean, HoloLive does it, but HoloLive can get away with it because they are, of course, a whole dang agency, right? But it's not exactly smart to do that if you are an indie VTuber coming out of nowhere. But I didn't debut out of nowhere. I did make a couple of shorts, so I just wanted to revisit this one because I actually am quite proud of this, and I do want to see how it aged. Teasing to an audience of 0. That's true. That is true. I was just kind of hoping that the YouTube algorithm would carry me through. Was my honest hope. So let's watch this short, why don't we? Oh, let me move out of the way. Oh, no, the scuff. The scuff. What happened? No. Oh, God. Please. Yeah, so that's where this whole dang channel started. I'm really proud of this one because there's something I don't know, romantic about the idea of self-fate. The lore is vast and complex, it's true. I did spawn from a progenitor cell. Baby Phi is also a very apt description of what that was supposed to be. And I just found the idea that, like, you know, all of your stem cells have this like infinite potential to be any number of final adult stages of development, as you know, you could put, and each one of those cells has their own unique and special function. And just this idea that you are at a stage in your life, especially the younger you are, the more putty-like you are, the more you can be molded and grow and mature. And I kind of found that that was a fun way, I think, to have started the channel. And this little guy that Toxo drew, I just kind of like the idea of throwing him into space, you know, space being this frontier of vast nothingness. But of course, it isn't about whether or not something is or isn't, but like what you make out of it, right? I don't know if that makes any sense or if I'm just rambling, but I don't know. I found that to be quite a fun way to start the channel, but it actually isn't the actual first piece of content that I made, which is actually this. So the first actual video I uploaded to the channel was this video essay about this probiotic that claims to enlarge your secondary male sex characteristics. I actually ended up uploading this unlisted because I wasn't happy with how this turned out. We are actually going to watch it together in a membership only stream right after this. And so I'm teasing for that stream. So there'll be a little bit of an intermission, and then we'll get into watching this video as the first actual piece of content I uploaded to the Phi the Neutrophil channel. Back then it was called Phylum Kingdom, and we'll get into why that's a bad idea maybe a little later. Yeah, the copyright claim, it's actually ineligible for monetization, I believe, because I have it unlisted. Yes, bigger basketballs, that is very, very true. If you decide to have a secondary channel later on, you can do other specialized cells. I was thinking of naming a secondary channel Phi the Neutrophil, just because I think that would be cute. And it keeps the branding more simple. Yeah, eyebrow raising emoji for sure. It's been a consistent value of mine to never gatekeep education stuff behind a paywall like membership, but since I already made the kombucha video, which basically rehashes a lot of this information, I don't consider it to be different information. I just focus a lot more at analyzing this claim that this probiotic can enhance those spherical objects. So that's what we're going to do after the stream. But this is the actual first thing that I've made for this particular channel. Although viewers who have seen my failure stream have seen that I've made a ton of content before this. This is just the first piece that I felt was any good to show anybody. So, you know, we've come a long way since my early beginnings as a fanfiction writer, as a 5th grade fanfiction writer. Yeah. Okay. So the first science short I made was the short about StarCraft. And I just kind of want to get a sense for how outdated am I? Because I I had this idea that this would be a popular one, and it certainly did outperform expectations for the first thing that I ever made. But I'm guessing for the young folk, for the Gen Zers, that they don't really know what StarCraft is potentially. So I just want to take a quick poll to see if that's true. Or you can just mention in the chat if StarCraft is a game any of you have played. I know that Plague Inc. is where I ended up getting a lot of viewership, and for that I am both grateful for those of you who have trickled through the Plague Inc. stuff, but also I kind of feel bad because I don't plan on making Plague Inc. content soon, just because I feel like I've hit my stride. Because, you know, at the beginning of a YouTube channel, you don't really know what it is you want to do long term, right? Like, I didn't have the confidence to make long-term videos, like, you know, precisely why I had privated that video about the probiotic, just because, like, I wasn't happy with the video editing. I wasn't happy with my skills as a writer yet. And so I thought, shorts, that's a pretty good low stakes place to just get some video editing practice. And it turns out that the Plague Inc. series actually did a lot more numbers than I was expecting, which was very cool. Although I find that it's really hard just to make content that's 1 minute long, because there's a lot of nuance in Plague Inc. that I wasn't able to get to, and I've had comments call me out for that lack of nuance. But I'm like, I had a minute. I had a minute to do that. But I am quite happy with how they turned out. And it's led quite a few of you into this channel. And we'll actually see whether or not that's true when we take a look at my analytics downstream. Plague Inc. is sadly a dead game. There's quite a few dedicated people who still play that game. You know, there's a predecessor to Plague Inc. called, and the boomers in chat will know this, called Pandemic, which was a free-to-play browser game that had basically the identical setup, except the hard country to infect was not Greenland, it was Madagascar. To me, that was the only real difference I can remember in those two games. But that game, I played so much of that game, and it really did help keep me engaged with the field of biology and the field of medicine. I wouldn't go so far as to say that, Pandemic was hugely inspirational in my journey as a biologist. It wasn't hugely inspirational, but it was one more thing that I could do to remain engaged with the topic that I really loved. I had a brain-eating amoeba once. Poor fellow starved. True. My single brain cell is just an evolved brain amoeba. That is evolution. It has evolution at play. Interesting evolutionary divergence. Yeah. So it's kind of fun watching back on this first science short that I am actually quite proud of as well, just because I like this thumbnail. And for those of you who don't know, you can't actually... It's very difficult to upload a custom thumbnail for YouTube Shorts. And I thought, if I have big, scary red text, maybe people will click on that. And, a decent number of people did. So that was an interesting learning moment for crafting this kind of content. But a very smart commenter who was a StarCraft fan pointed out that I'd gotten the entire short wrong because Zerg don't reproduce... They don't sexually reproduce. They're clonal organisms. So the basis of me talking about evolution in this particular case was completely moot, which was pretty interesting, I think. I hadn't realized that the first actual science thing that I did on this channel was already inaccurate. Oops. And it took months for somebody to catch me on that, by the way. I guess I'm happy that maybe StarCraft isn't as popular as Plague Inc. Certainly nowadays in terms of people who view my channel. All right. So the first long form video I did was this video about tuberculosis, and this was the thumbnail I chose. This was back when I still called myself Phylum instead of Phy the Neutrophil, and this is where I was kind of teased the fact that my channel was called Phylum Kingdom because I thought, hey, that's a cute name. I could have this VTuber that's a neutrophil and then stick a crown on top, and I would be the king because it'd be Phylum Kingdom, which is a reference to taxonomy, right? When you learn how organisms are classified, it goes, oh god, Phylum Kingdom, order, something, 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 class, species, etc., etc. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Yeah, I'm gonna get canceled as a biologist. But the point being is I thought it was cute that you can take kingdom to literally mean a kingdom. But then I Googled my own, I did an ego search on myself, and I realized that nobody would ever be able to find me. Because if you Google phylum kingdom, you'll never see my channel. You'll only see people studying for their biology exams. So that was a pretty terrible idea. A lot of mistakes happening along the way. I like this comment, bro copied Tirzu. I totally did. In fact, I actually openly admit this in a response, because we all start somewhere, as Morjuice had alluded to earlier, right? Like, I didn't really have too many original ideas on my own. I'm a big fan of Tirzu's channel, and I thought, it would be really cool to have like a Tirzu, but for microbes, because you certainly can do all the tiering that you could for Tirzu's channel for pathogens. Because there are pathogens that are more or less successful than others, and some with cooler and not as cool defense mechanisms, stuff like that. It would have been pretty interesting to do. So I tried to put my own spin on it, because Tirzu at this point has such high production value that just me as an indie like nobody doing the same formula is going to necessitate looking differently. But that's where I started, right? Just as an idea. Thank you, Troy. So I responded, I totally did. We all start somewhere, right? And the reason why I put this comment up is a moment of civility from the comment section, just as a response to my comment, just writing fair. I love that. Just, hey, you copied Tirzu. I'm like, I did. You know what? That's all right. Fair enough. Just a wholesome internet interaction. Exactly, Morjuice. And I think about this comment a lot, because, you can imagine being on the internet that there can be people who are a lot less forgiving than this commenter. Instead of regular evolution, we're looking at Phi's evolution. That's true. Lamarck was right. I have a document in my Google Drive called Lamarck was right, and I've been thinking about when to do that video. Eventually, maybe. Okay, first 100K view video. This is, of course, my rabies video. Probably the best thing that I have done on my channel for a very long time. And you can see on the left here, this is the first thumbnail I did. And this is the second thumbnail I did, the current thumbnail, and you can kind of tell I've improved. Again, as Toxo had mentioned, I'm evolving as a content creator too, because this thumbnail on the left looks tortured, and it was a tortured idea to begin with, and poor Toxo, I had made her draw me this neuron that's writhing in pain just so that I can do this like Shirley clueless joke that I really wanted to do. And I'm the type of person that needs to fail to learn, and even though Toxo was like, I don't like this thumbnail, I was like, nah, it's gonna do numbers, trust me, trust. And then it flopped for months, and then like when I changed the thumbnail, like a week later, this video popped off on the algorithm. I just noticed the rage face. Yeah, like this, it's too busy. It was a neat idea. I just don't have like the visual IQ to make a thumbnail I'm like super happy with. So I took this idea and I was just like, let me just simplify it and make it simpler to visually understand. And I think the algorithm really, really liked that. I do think the pre-on video was the best one. We'll talk about what my opinions on the pre-on video are later on in the stream. But yeah, this like art of making thumbnails, I think it'll be a very long time before I get good at making thumbnails, but I'm definitely learning. And obviously, like when this video popped off, like Toxo and I were on vacation, and I'm supposed to be on vacation having a good time and relaxing, and instead, like right before bedtime, I would be furiously checking my YouTube studio to the point where it like gave me insomnia, because I was just like, oh my god, the number is going up. That's crazy. I'm not like a very metrics focused person in the sense where I have ideas on video topics and thumbnails and ideas that would do well on the algorithm, but maybe aren't quite suitable for my channel. It was more like because this video popped off, I like really was like obsessed over figuring out why. Um, just because if I could learn what appealed to the YouTube viewer, I could package the stuff that I care about in a way that the YouTube viewer would enjoy. So I was like obsessed with like figuring out, like cracking the code of what this was. You guys are extremely talented and underrated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One day we will just be rated instead of underrated. I think those comments are very nice in the comment section. Like, you know, starting off on a YouTube channel, there are quite a bit of supporters who come in and see a young channel and they'll write like, oh, you know, this channel is so underrated. And I do appreciate that. However, the goal is to be just rated. Neither over nor underrated, just rated. The scientist brain, I can relate. Yeah, the YouTube studio gave me insomnia, actually. I couldn't sleep without checking my analytics. I would like, my brain would force me awake so I could check my analytics in the middle of the night, and that was bad. I wouldn't recommend that. But it was like crazy. It was like a moment where I'm like, okay, I can do this and I can reach people and I can share what I love. Like I hesitate to call it education again because it's more like I just want to share things that I find are cool. And a decent chunk of people found that cool, which I was very, very pleased with. All right. Okay, so here's my favorite comment on this video. Imagine being a neutrophil, but deciding to use Imperial. I don't know what this means, but I'm obsessed with this comment. I have no idea what this means. Imagine being a neutrophil, but deciding to use Imperial. I don't know, chat. Can anybody figure out what this means? What I'm supposed to be imagining? I don't get it. But like, if I had to give a superlative for like my favorite comment, it might be this. It's just like I remember this comment. The first time I read this, I said to Toxo, I was like, I don't get it. And I've never forgotten it. Yeah, 4 months ago. This comment came 4 months ago, and I've been thinking it ever since. Yeah, I want to know what I'm being judged for. If I were to guess, maybe neutrophil equals scientific, which is firmly in the metric camp. I mean, I agree that that's probably the most straightforward explanation, but I want to believe that this commenter here had something more creative in mind, and I'm just like not smart enough to deal with it. Did you like use interest in that video? I thought I used metric actually. I think maybe I used both because I remember talking about dynein, the motor protein that moves rabies to the brain. I thought I also used meters per second. I don't know if I only used feet. But yeah, this comment's awesome. Yeah, there was like a mile per hour thing. I think meters per second is what I ended up converting it to, but maybe I think I started in miles per hour and converted it to meters per second. All right. Next milestone, of course, off the back of the rabies video, getting on top of the algorithm, we opened membership pretty soon after. So thank you to all the members who have been supporting this channel. Your support means a lot, and again, goes to a fund that allows me to show my gratitude to Toxo for basically designing the entire visual element of this channel. So for those of you who don't know, I don't draw anything except really bad MS Paint level stuff that I just need like quickly for a video. In terms of all the cute little guys, Toxo drew all of them. And so we're going to be pitting them together in a battle of cuteness later on in the stream. Special thanks to those of you subbed since the very beginning. It must be kind of strange to put your faith in a YouTuber so like new and small. And so I appreciate seriously all the members who did take that leap of faith in supporting a channel of my size. So this is also just a hobby of mine. You know, I don't do this full time. But yeah, we're reaching the point where I can actually bring Toxo to an omakase fund, which is very, very exciting. Every month of membership is like a piece of choro nigiri sushi for Toxo. Exactly. That is pretty much what we're building up to, and it's gonna be great. Just because like I've talked about this idea of like hobby versus passion, and like sharing what I think is cool is a passion of mine. I would always find a way, in no matter what universe or timeline I'm in, to try to share something that I find is cool, whether it be Dungeons and Dragons or a failed podcast or a failed webcomic. I will never stop trying, and I think it's only because of Toxo that I have settled on something that I can actually do. Me getting to ready to inhale sushi. It's coming soon, and it's going to be great. All right. So I want to talk about the first collab I had. So on the left here is, again, an early version of this thumbnail. This is the thumbnail concept I had sent to Cideray, who is, of course, my fellow V-Theorem VTuber. She does psychology on her channel, where she also does journal clubs, where you can watch a scientist walk through an academic paper. And so psychology is her chosen field. And so I think I'll talk a little more about Cideray later in the stream when I get to talking about all of my past collaborations. But I think I just have like one thing to share here, is that Cideray is really funny behind the scenes. Really? Oh no, she's in there. It's you here somewhere. This is before she gave me her PNG. Cideray is really funny behind the scenes, and she's funny in the way that, like, I think only an academic can be, because this is a message that she sent the V-Theorem Discord. I've gotten her consent to publish this. She wrote, "Biology is also a lot easier to come up with trivia questions for than psychology, to be honest. Lots of fun facts. All of our fun facts get replication crisis, rock hands emoji, weary emoji." This is so funny. And I like, this was back when we were planning our collab, our like debut. So this is all the way back in like April or May. And I was like, that's the funniest thing that I've read at least all month. So I highly recommend you go check her out. Her link will be in one of the slides later on. But yeah, it's just like, she has that, like, that academic witticism that I think is uncommon, but it's also something that I very much relate to. As we'll see, I'm about to show you a PowerPoint presentation about why banana cream pie is objectively the best food. That kind of, like, I thought way too hard about something that I like, and now that has warped itself in my sense of humor. That's very much, I vibe with that. That's very fun. So another milestone, first EN VTuber STEM education group V-Theorem. So I believe there's a group like this in JP circles, but I don't know too much about them, nor do I have a link to them. If somebody happens to know who they are at the top of their head, please feel free to drop a link in the comments and I'll check them out later. But as far as I can tell, we are the first group of EN VTubers whose like commonality is this idea that we do STEM education as a regular part of our content. Regular not meaning, you know, common, because we're indies. There's only so much that indies can keep up with in terms of, you know, putting food on the table and also having this hobby, but as a regular feature. It comes up regularly. And I think that it's an appropriate time to chat a little bit about sort of the origins of this idea. So I've always wanted to do something like this, and I think what Sai and Nep and I have in common is that, like, we all had this idea but not the means to pull it off, which I think was quite fortunate that we found each other. Hi Fi, your content is really cool and I hope you continue to grow. I got your pre-on video on my recommended page and I've watched just about all your videos. Thank you so much. Welcome to my 1-year anniversary celebration stream. Won't be sticking around long, but wishing you all the best. Thank you so much. Your viewership means a lot. Just because, again, my passion is sharing cool things, and when people think that the stuff that I think is cool, that's the best feeling. Beyond any other hobby of mine, sharing cool things is truly the best. So yeah, like the idea for V-Theorem I had even pre like Phi. I was like, you know, once I debuted, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was this group of science VTubers or educational VTubers that had this like pseudo agency, and they would raid into one another and provide content that I think that I myself am more likely to watch. I don't know. I feel quite hag-like these days, in the sense where I don't really watch gaming streams anymore, just because I myself don't game all that much. I have a set rotation of games that I get obsessed with, and it's the same games over and over again. It's RTSs followed by roguelikes, and I'm very hesitant to try anything new. That's because the way I game is I find great pleasure in honing my skills instead of doing new things. So, like, getting faster at a game. Actually, one of my first streams was speedrunning Celeste. And so I felt sort of disconnected from gaming as a genre. And if you look into the VTuber space, a lot of VTuber content is gaming. And while I loved that content, during the pandemic, when HoloLive was really popping off and debuting in English generation, I felt that over the last couple of years, I've maybe aged out of watching gaming content, and getting more into like just chatting and sort of more interactive mediums or more like video essay-esque type stuff, I should say. Like, I was heading more in the direction of putting on streams in the background and then doing something on top of that, and listening to someone talk passionately about what they like was very appealing to me. I think, there are some academics in chat. We can probably, the circle between people who enjoy video essays and academics is probably a full circle, and I kind of wanted to see more of that kind of content. Saw you playing Final Fantasy on Discord earlier. Yeah, I know. Final Fantasy X is my favorite Final Fantasy, and playing it as an adult is way better than playing it as a kid, because you start realizing how broken that game is in various ways. And not online. No, of course it's going to be a Final Fantasy from like 20 years ago. Yeah, I know. I have high level intensity obsessions followed by sudden shifts into other games. But that's why if you're a VTuber and you happen to play one of the 8 games that I like, I'll watch that. But otherwise, the landscape of gaming is like too big and intimidating for me nowadays. But there's also like Vidal and Neurosama and like Onigiri, who does cooking content, and I really like this idea of VTubers branching out into non-gaming content, just because I found myself starting to view that kind of content less and less. And I had noticed that like education as a genre in terms of representation at the highest level is not common, I should say. And that's why I say, like, I don't know that we're the first ones on the EN scene, but if we're not, then discoverability is quite an issue amongst indie spheres, right? I see a Japanese YouTube tag called VR Academia. I don't see any specific STEM groups yet. That's interesting. Yeah, I kind of don't want to win on that technicality, but in terms of like just an idea, because we started with STEM just because it was easier, I think, to wrap a brand around, right? Because education as a whole, you could certainly have that as a group identity, but because education is so broad and there are a lot of different subjects, and it might be kind of hard to find common collaboration between a biologist and like a historian, even though I would love to do that. We can maybe talk about the history of the Black Plague or something, but in terms of finding a community or founding a community where we can have this cross-cultural cross-disciplinary collaboration, that was really my goal, because science itself is very cross-disciplinary, right? Like, you share office space with people with vastly different experiences than you, and with your powers combined, you end up being able to do a lot more than you thought you could, and having that be represented in the VTuber space, I thought was really important and worthwhile to do. We already have a biology tuber. We need a zoology tuber. There is a Brazilian one called Biologo Andy. I don't really know too much about their content, but I want to emphasize that I'm only aware of stuff happening in the EN sphere because science is international. There's all sorts of creators in all sorts of different spheres. It's just kind of hard to find this kind of content if you go looking for it. We need a fitness VTuber. There actually is. I think his name is Jeff McBiceps. Jeff McBiceps. Oh yeah. Resta's got it. Jeff McBiceps. Yeah. I think Jeff was at some con or something and was challenging passerbys to like do squats. That's awesome. That kind of content I think I find is highly appealing, just because it's A, because it's different, B, because you have more interaction with the audience members, and 3, it's like more video essay like, which is something that I like. I saw Jeff featured at Offkai. That's awesome. Did you do the squat challenge? So yeah, so that was kind of the idea. And so the question then became like who to like incorporate in this first generation. And because it's like so hard, I think, to go finding like people who do education content just in general, like you can look on Reddit and you would just have to get lucky that some science VTuber happened to post some PR that day, which happens to get enough upvotes for your eyes to happen to see. You could go to Twitter where you can search through a science tag, but then what I found when I did that is that there are a lot of VTubers out there who are scientists IRL and who have like scientist personas as VTubers, but I would say that the volume that actually do science as content, not that frequent. So I thought, it's really hard. I would really like to see this like super group form, but I felt like I had very little kindling to find a way to do that. Of course, I looked for existing groups as well in case I could try to wedge myself into one of these groups, but I couldn't find any. So something very fortunate happened as I was advertising a very dumb stream idea, and this was a stream where I would chat with ChatGPT about parasociality in like the effect of using chatbots on human intimacy. So this was kind of out of my field. This is very much a psychology thing or sociology thing. But I, at the time, didn't have like a very good idea of how strictly I wanted to stay within the sphere of biology, because while biology is great and I love biology in terms of a vehicle to teach about how science functions, it's actually not as good as psychology or sociology, I think. And the reason why I say that is because biology is sort of a little more on the hard science side. That's not like a discriminatory thing. It's just like the amount of context that you need to appreciate biology is quite high. And so my audience here, I'm very grateful, has the patience to sit through all of the context that I provide in order for you to appreciate the stuff that I teach about. But psychology, you don't need as much background to appreciate what is being done. And so I was thinking of branching out into reading psychology papers as an amateur. I would never claim to have expert level knowledge or an expert level critique of psychology as a discipline or psychology papers, but I do think that they're better to use as journal club material than some biology stuff is. So, this was back when I was still streaming to like 3 people. And, as if by fate, one side array pops up into this stream where it's just me and a handful of other people and starts commenting on the study design. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's like an actual like psychologist in stream, which was terrifying for me at the time because I was like, oh my God, I'm about to get like called out for getting everything wrong. And it turns out she did not call me out for getting anything wrong. In fact, she was very kind and offered her expertise in interpreting this kind of paper. And then I thought, okay, I might not have another opportunity. I need to like make this connection right now. So I hopped into her stream enough to know that she wasn't like outwardly crazy or problematic or anything. And then I just like sent her a DM just being like, hey, like we should work together because we both do science in the VTubing sphere and I feel like there aren't that many of us out there. And like from there we developed this idea and made great progress in building sort of the bones that would become this idea down the line. And after 1 year, can I say that we've been wildly successful? Well, success is a hard metric to have, right? It's just our first year. It hasn't been V-Theorem's first year yet. That's still many months away. But I think it's fun to kind of document this stage of our development, just because when people do like pop off, it's easy for them to look back and be like, oh, I did this and that, and that's why this became successful. But by documenting how this is growing like kind of in real time, I think it's a lot more honest, because I find that advice from people who are successful is tricky because they have survivorship bias. They made it, and so there's something that they did that enabled them to find success, but they might not necessarily be the best judge of what that something was, because they never have to test that hypothesis, right? They never have to start over, except for that one guy who did it on YouTube and got like 1 billion views. You thought Sai was going to be crazy? Oh, well, it's not that is. I thought she was going to be crazy. It's just that, like, anytime you meet anybody online, you're like, you could be crazy. You could. Just wanted to make sure. This is some kind of deep-seated fear of psychologist Fi. Well, we had joked about. Oh no, I don't want to talk about the content idea because I don't want to like spoil it. Let's just say that psychologists are more well equipped at certain interactions that could be powerful. We'll say that. Catching up on chat. Yeah. So then we met Nep, and I'll talk a little bit more about Nep when we get into talking about my collaborators down the line. But yeah, I think it's going well, and I think behind the scenes there's a lot of excitement and energy behind the potential of where this would go. I'm so curious to find out what you mean by that. I don't want to ruin the idea. It's just in the future. Cute girl face, fluffy little cell dude, cute girl face. Exactly. I had I should, what I should have done? I should have pulled up the concept art for the banner for V Theorem, because there's a lot of like cursed ideas that were running around, and then I started looking into artist prices in terms of like what can we do on a shoestring budget for promotional art, because running a VTuber channel, there's only so much that like you can do without it cutting into your pockets. And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to cut into my pockets for this kind of thing, but because I am who I am, I try to keep my net balance on running this hobby at 0. Making money, but also using the money to put back into the channel and stuff. And the stuff that we wanted to do was really, really complex. And then like the constraints of finances actually made this idea, which I actually am really happy with, because restrictions are what forces creativity. And so by restricting on a budget, we had this fun idea of what if we did eye banners, because eye banners are enticing. They communicate a lot about the design of the VTubers, and also it'd be really funny just to zoom into my nucleus. I love how Sai looks down on me in disgust. I know her eye banner goes so hard. I would have actually redesigned Nep's eye banner had I known her for longer, because behind the scenes, because like my idea for the eye banners is like Sairei is this like psychologist, and so there's this theme of like psychologists being like very good at manipulation, this sort of like yandere level thought, but in reality she's just like a HoloLive comedian, right? And I think that gap moe was a really appealing idea to me, because at the time I had known Sai a lot more than I had known Nep. For Nep, because we were still like feeling each other out as content creators and as people, my first impression was like, oh, Nep is bubbly and energetic and very cute, and I thought we can do this like wink for her eye banner. But having known Nep for longer, I can say that she's also deserving of some level of yandere eyes. I don't know how I've fallen in between two wild people. I think I am the most say-so of us three, which I didn't expect would be the case. Did you just change your channel banner? I did. Toxo redesigned my channel banner, and I love it. Say so, sell. Say sell. That's true. That's true. But we'll talk more about Nep a little later, and maybe it's possible Nep will join us for reminiscing back on old times. Okay, statistics. Here's what the nerds in chat were waiting for. So these are viewer demographics, right? So number one, my viewers mostly come from the US. That's not surprising. Followed by the UK, Canada, and then number four, the Philippines, which I found to be very interesting. So shout out to the Philippines. Followed by Germany, Poland, and then other. So this is pretty interesting because I was most surprised by the Philippines being in here. I'm from other gang rise up. The other gang is quite significant, which is really surprising because when you think English-speaking countries, English as a first language, we've got all representation there. But then the bulk, a third of my viewers come from all over the world, which I thought was really, really amazing. But this idea of Philippines being number four, I was like, that's really interesting. And then I came to realize, and I think Mylan might appreciate this in chat, Mylan being a psychologist VTuber as well, this data on its face doesn't hold that much intrinsic meaning. It is what it is on the package, right? This is where your viewers come from. But then when you start thinking about why and how and if this is meaningful, then it gets a little tricky. So, and this might make statisticians in the chat mad or very happy, what I did was I normalized to the country's population. So I actually didn't know this, but the Philippines is a very, very densely populated country in terms of like just the number of people that live in the Philippines is very, very large. So I was like, I wonder if I'm especially quote unquote popular in the Philippines, or is it because there are just a lot of people in the Philippines? And so when I did this normalization, I got a slight reordering. So this is the reordering on the right. So first is the USA, and then Canada and the UK switch. I'm guessing because Canada is actually quite sparse in terms of population density, followed by Poland, followed by Germany, and then the Philippines falls to the sixth. So actually, the Philippines doesn't get into the other category. They don't get put into that bin. So that's actually surprising to me. So shout out to all the viewers who are in the other category as well as in the Philippines, because even after normalization, even after taking their very dense population, they're still like on top of that list, and I think that's so cool. So shout out Swagapinos. True. And so this just shows you how normalizing your data can allow you to sort of view the data in a different light. Although what I would have preferred to have done was to normalize to the density of people who watch YouTube, because that would have been more accurate and maybe would have skewed the data in certain ways. But I don't have access to that data, so you can get this kind of janky normalization. There's quite a bunch of VTuber fans in the Philippines. I have heard. It's just that I've always been of the opinion that like people who watch me end up like first watching my video content, like the rabies video or my plaguing stuff, and then go, oh, it's a VTuber, instead of, oh, this is a VTuber, let's check out his other stuff. So I don't really know if that is the explanation for why we have Filipino representation in my viewer demographics, but it is interesting to think about. 90% of Canada is unpopulated. Like West Canada, I believe, is quite the nature reserve, from what I've heard. I know that whenever someone mentions the country in any HoloLive, Niji Other Corp, they come out in droves. It's true. They're a very strong force to have as a fan base. Very fun. All right. So gender demographics. So overall, this is just insane to me. Overall, 9.6 female, 87.4% male, and then 3% user specified. This skew is absolutely bonkers, right? I was very, very surprised. Bros watching bros, shout out to my bros. You are valued, you are valid. I have no idea why the ratio is this skewed though. You know, like I'm not a cute girl who does cute things. That's one puzzling thing that I think is interesting. The other is, in my experience growing up, and this is something that I've talked to Toxo about in terms of how to describe this. In my experience growing up, biology has always been 50-50 in terms of the educational systems that I've been a part of. In fact, most of, I would say, my class in undergraduate were female, and in my graduate school there was also a heavy skew towards females in my program. And so there's always been like this thread of like, oh, I believe biology is the most like egalitarian of the hard sciences. But then Toxo brought me down to earth and said, you know, that could just be a feature of the places that you have been to. You have no idea what it's like for the rest of the world. And I think that's a very fair point to make. But still, this is still kind of nutty. This is just nuts. Girlies for Fi, true. Maybe when I drop cute merch, that'll skew things. I don't know. Maybe that's a weird assumption to make, but it's just bonkers. Cute cell who does cute things, good enough for us. I would have thought that that kind of appeal would have worked for, you know, all genders. But apparently not. I don't know. Before my channel got a lot of algorithm pressure, my skew was 40-60, but now my skew is exactly the same as yours. That's like nuts. That's more of a YouTube thing. YouTube has a male-dominated audience. Is that true? I find that kind of hard to believe. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But that's why normalization is very important. Although normalizing for gender demographics here doesn't. It's not even like worth doing unless I had data about YouTube specific demographics, which if I could get that, it would be worth redoing this just to see if I have over or under representation. Maybe the algorithm is pushing to certain demographics. Yeah, maybe. I think like if I had to guess, because gaming is more of a male space, that maybe the Plague Inc. stuff skewed male. But that's based on this antiquated idea that gaming is still male dominated when there is research that shows that it is far more egalitarian than we give it credit for. But that's like the only thing that I can think of besides, like, I don't know, if you make a YouTube account, does it autofill male if you don't specify a gender, or does it, you know, like, so my idea is that maybe there's this like skew for males because if you make a YouTube account, the first thing that's bubbled in by default is male, and then you have to change to female or user specified. If that's the case, then this data is just useless, but I don't think it's like that. I don't really know. For medicine, there are more girls than men. They are just more diligent. They don't watch the entertainment side. I don't really know necessarily whether or not that can be generalized to that extent. It might be anecdotal though. But yeah, so that's overall. For videos, the skew is a little better, so there are more females watching my overall stuff. For shorts, it bops back down to the overall trend. And then for live, shout out to my bros. Shout out to the bros who watch the live. Although this to me is kind of bonkers because, like, you know, my streaming audience isn't huge, but maybe that's only because I have a general sense for who shows up to watch my stream when it's live, and then maybe the people that watch the VODs skew heavily male. But this skew is bonkers as well. I don't think Google will miss out on the opportunity to collect more data. That's true. They'd probably be pretty diligent about making sure that their data means something. I wonder if there's a group on YouTube working on increasing female viewership overall. A lot of untapped potential there. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. And I've Googled this issue where there are other people who complain that their gender viewership is skewed so heavily one way. And to the point where, like, I'm thinking, like, this can't be real, right? This can't be real. But actually, there are posts by, you know, creators in, like, the beauty space who report that, you know, a lot of their audience skews female, and, you know, that it's kind of the content that they cater to. So there's some validity there, right? Like, if beauty vloggers, like, because of that space being female dominated, if their viewership is female dominated, then that must mean that the reporting of the statistics is at least somewhat reliable. It's kind of weird. Okay. Age demographics. This is interesting. This I think has more potential for interesting comments on sort of where my content goes. So this is the overall, and we see that we have this top skew of most of my audience being between 18 to 24, so college age. My content is indeed catered to people who are at least college age. So if you are between 13 and 17, you are not the intended audience. That doesn't mean that you're not welcome here of course. It just means that I am surprised that you are here learning about things that are geared towards an audience with a little more education. So shout out to the young folk in the chat. But this doesn't surprise me, right? This is kind of is just what the cards are in terms of viewership. Looked up a Pew study. The percent of young adults who say they use YouTube is pretty consistent across men and women, 82 versus 83. Yeah, like I don't know whether or not, I mean, I think YouTube probably has a more accurate take, but their data is probably hidden, just because they truly have all of the data versus the Pew study. That doesn't count for how many hours a day. That's true. Whether or not there is a gender skew in types of content would be interesting to look at as well. Shout out to the 13-year-old learning about prions and the rabies. Yeah, I mean, I was that kid when I was young. There was a site called kidshealth.org, and back when, because I was like I determined pre-med back when I was like 10 years old, and so when I was 10 and surfing the web, I would be obsessed with this website called kidshealth.org, where they would publish kid-friendly articles about horrible diseases like rabies. I don't know if that website is still up, but I was also one of these kids that was just voraciously consuming content on health and biology. So that's the overall. So that's not interesting. But then we get into the different types of content. So if we go down to the videos breakdown, we actually see that there's a pretty significant shift, like a statistically interesting shift. I'm not going to say significant because that doesn't really, because, well, one, because Mylan is watching, being the stats person that they are, but it certainly is sizable. It's a sizable difference. I think that's accurate to say, right? Going from 44 to 26 in these two age groups, right? These two 18 to 24 and 25 to 34, having that normalize and then having 25 to 34 overcome 18 to 24, I think this is indicative, at least to me, that I am at the age, because I'm also in this demographic, where video essays are my preferred kind of content. And my content is getting longer, right? So moving away from the short formula where we have a little more representation perhaps, and then heading into the idea that videos actually do better for the demographic that I am currently in. And that makes sense because the content that I watch are long form videos and occasionally streams. So I think that's interesting. I can do the chi-square right now if you want me to, but I won't judge. Can you actually? It's been a long time since I've done a chi-square. Hags for long form videos, I guess. That's true. The shorts fry the attention span. You don't have to put yourself out to do the chi-square, Mylan. But I mean, if you're curious, I don't know. I can leave this on the screen for longer. Okay, so chat. What is your hypothesis? We're about to head into the shorts. So video for 13 to 17 years, that's 1.4%. What about shorts? My short viewership, what percentage do you think this becomes in the 13 to 17 demographic for my YouTube shorts? 30%? That's very sizable. 70%? Very, very sizable. Skews young? Yeah, it does skew young. These are all huge. Yeah, 99%. Okay, maybe I hyped it up too much. It's not as big as what y'all are saying. It's 8.3, and I know that's like a really big disappointment, but here's the thing. I don't know how many of the 13 to 17-year-old demographic is reporting their age accurately. Because when I made a YouTube account when I was like, I don't know, like 10, I just lied and said I was like 84. It's still an 8 times increase though. Exactly. Like that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the absolute value. What I'm looking at is the fact that there are like 8 times more young people watching my shorts than they are my video. To me, that is pretty significant. Your guess is, I overhyped this data by quite a bit, I guess. And then, yeah, skewing younger, where younger people are watching my shorts, fewer of the older people are watching my shorts, and that's what that's reflective in my content consumption as well, right? Like in terms of shorts, the only shorts that I watch are from like comedians and cooking content, because that's just what I'm into. In terms of like as a genre, I don't typically watch, like I don't scroll endlessly through, because the way that YouTube has set up its UI is a lot more I don't know, appetizing than TikTok, because TikTok, you do one, you swipe, you do another, etc., etc. For YouTube, they really are like little snacks. I'll watch 1 or 2 or 3 and then move on to watch a long form in between. So I'm not against watching shorts. It's just I'm not surprised that the shorts viewership is a lot higher than the video. 1.8% being 65 is wilder to me. Yeah, when I was young, I signed up as an 84-year-old, so I don't know how reliable that data is either. I was 100 for a while, yeah. And then the live. So again, you know, for the young people in chat, you're a part of the 1.6% who wants to watch this kind of content, which is very pog. And then this category is dominated primarily by these like these middle-aged demographics. So I just lumped myself by calling myself middle-aged. And then no viewership in the older sphere, which I guess is understandable. You know, live streams are a bit more of a newer medium. Okay, but again, this is what it says on the packet. It's just where do your viewers come from in terms of what their ages are. So what I did, and this was a lot more effort, is I then normalized to the distribution of people in the United States. So I couldn't get data for the world, so I just did the United States just to get an idea of whether or not normalization would change anything. So in the pink we have the raw, and on the red we have normalized, and we have 2 different axes, one normalized and one not. And so this is just the overall, and what I see is that it's actually still relatively accurate in terms of we don't see an inversion of anything. So sometimes you normalize and you find that it's not interesting, and this is one of those cases. Normalizing this data is not interesting. So what did I normalize? Well, it's because there are going to be more younger people than there are going to be older people, so I was wondering if I could pull out some sort of effect because of that population difference, but it doesn't turn out to matter that much for my channel. Okay, next segment of the stream, and this segment I'm actually going to invite a special guest on. All right, my plane is boarding now, so I'm going to miss the call in part of the stream, but congrats again, Fi. Thank you so much for tuning in, More Juice. I hope your flight goes well. You have a safe trip. Okay, so special guest, would you like to come join me for the Best Little Guy tournament? Special guest, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
How's her audio? It's a Boeing 787.
It's me. It's a Boeing 787.
Toxo is here. Oh, I forgot to put your PNG on here. Well, let me do that real quick. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and we are going to rate all of the little guys that Toxo has made. And we're going to do this tournament style. Let me pull her PNG up real quick.
That's okay. I'll be invisible.
Oh, we can make this work. We can make this work. There you go.
Oh, I'm hopping.
Oh, you're hopping. Why are you hopping? What?
I'm hopping.
Oh no. This is not what that's not the one. Is it this one? I should have named these better. There we go. There we go. There you go.
Dancing.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna run this tournament. Okay. Here we go. So this is the tournament. let's go to the next slide. So this is bracket A, and we're going to do a series of polls.
I'm blocking.
Oh, you are blocking.
I'm in the way.
Let's shrink. Let's get real small. Let's get real small. And then I'm going to put a poll up in the chat so that we can do this right. And we'll determine objectively who the best little guy is of all the little guys. To do that, I need to start a poll. So we'll do that. We'll do A, B, and
Now,
C.
do those cockeye count as separate little guys, or are they collectively one little guy?
Interesting. I think we're going to have to be fair, make them all one little guy. They're competing together as an entity.
Wow.
So who's the best little guy of these little guys? And as we wait for the votes to come in, do you want to chat about which one of these was maybe the most fun to draw, or which one you have a particular attachment to in this first bracket?
It's funny that you say that you're trying to let me talk about my favorite, because when I saw the slide, immediately I went, "Ooh, I know my least favorite."
Oh.
So maybe I'm just more of a negative person.
More of a negative. Okay.
Amoeba, parasite, something.
Amoeba, parasite. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
True. Okay, so I'll end the poll there. So it looks like we have a winner. It looks like the winner of the first round is B. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
And
Good job, chat. No one picked D. I love you. D is my least favorite. I hate him. I
What?
think he's ugly.
So just to walk through what these guys were. So A was the archaea, of course, from the archaea video. B being E. coli. C being a generic cockeye-based bacteria. And then D is, I believe, the endothelial cells from the tuberculosis video. These are cells that are very zipper-like and form tight junctions to trap in tuberculosis, which I think that D is also my least favorite, but I wouldn't say that I hate him. I think D serves its purpose.
No, I do hate him.
Okay, so B goes on to the next round then. Do you have a favorite from here though?
I really like C. I love the little cockeye boys. I think they're cute. I love their little faces. I love their fat little chubby bodies, you know.
They are very cute, and that was entirely your direction too. You were the one who had the idea to make them like face each other and interact. It was really cute.
They're looking at each other, except for that one who doesn't want to interact, but that's valid.
Yeah, one out of every 4.
One out of every 4.
Why does the archaea look the way it does scientifically? So there is a species of archaea that is completely cuboid. And so we wanted to pay homage to the fact that I don't know that there are any bacteria that are cuboid, but there are archaea that are cuboid. Because like in terms of brainstorming a design for the archaea, if you look up archaea morphology, they look identical to bacteria on the outside, except for this little guy that's a cube. And then we were brainstorming sort of different ways to make the archaea guy cuter, and I think I had recommended that you make him like either Jack Skellington or Annie's little bear thing, League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, Tibbers. Yeah.
Tibbers.
Give him a little Tibbers quality to him. My favorite is also is B, just because I think it looks like the Gusty from Yoshi's Island. For those of you who are old enough to have enjoyed the original Yoshi's Island. Okay, so E. coli moves on to round 2. Let's do the next bracket.
Okay, if I love the cockeye, I do love gonorrhea because I think they're cute, and then they're just hairy now, and that just makes it better.
A pair of hairy spheres.
A pair of hairy spheres. If I take probiotics, will they get bigger?
I do not know. I mean, I mean, there will be more bacteria in you if you take a probiotic. That's for sure. I think a sleeper is probably A though. The way that you had drawn.
He has some
the fungi.
Thick brows.
I love the fact that because we were on vacation at the time, and this is the fungi that I had used for a quick gag about how everything in the world can kill you except archaea. and I didn't really know what you were going to come up with when I had pitched the idea. I was just like, yeah, you could draw maybe like a button mushroom and be kind of cute and funny because mushrooms are kind of cute shapes. And then you came out with this lad, which I think is nuts. This lad is crazy. I love the fact that like what are they called? The hyphae of the is it the hyphae? The part underneath like a portobello mushroom you've made into eyebrows, which I thought was really clever. Fun little guy. True, true. Yeah, A does look very cartoony. I do love it. All right. All right. The votes are in. And sadly, I think my choice was not represented very heavily here. I don't want to say which one of these I would move on to the final round, just to not bias things. But there's one little guy here that I have a very big fondness
I mean,
for.
he's not moving on. So I feel like even if you said it, it would be okay.
Oh, that's true. He's not moving on, dude. Dude, the lichen rock is so funny. This stupid smug rock is so funny.
He's smug.
He's so smug, and I have no idea why. I just asked, like, could you draw me like a lichen, because it was kind of a major player in the Prion video. And then you would hit me with this, and I'm like, why is he so smug?
He's smug.
What does the lichen have to be smug about?
He's not paying rent.
Why is he not paying rent?
He's squatting. He's squatting on the rock.
That, and like, independent of me having come up with the name Roxas for this rock and doing the little Kingdom Hearts gag that I did in that video, like when I had realized that what I had done, it just, I don't know. I think Roxas is my favorite in the Fiverse. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. He's also living rent free in your head. That's true. That's true. I think about the smug rock inordinately often. All right, lichens chilling at high altitudes. It's true. It's true. They I guess they do have quite a bit to be smug about. I just didn't appreciate that when you came up with it. Did you have an idea about why he was smug? Like, did you have other copies of this, like other designs, or did you just know in your heart that the rock was going to be smug?
No, that face was legitimately the first design that came to mind. He needed to be smug.
Gotcha. So you nailed it immediately.
In my heart, I knew he was smug.
I see. So this is why I'm not fit to be an artist, because art doesn't just come out of me like that.
Sometimes you poop out an art and it's a smug rock.
And then you just go with it. No notes, pretty much. All right. This next little round, these are a couple snippets from earlier Fi stuff. I didn't like randomize these in any way. They were just in alphabetical order in my PNG folder, but it happened that we have more of the cells and less of the pathogens here. So, any thoughts on your designs for these little guys?
I actually think bracket C is the hardest bracket for me to choose my favorite, because I do like all of these in their own way, right?
Yeah. I do think this is a pretty competitive bracket for sure as well. Although, I'm surprised to see the skew in the chat right now. Which is a little disheartening, because I do have a soft spot for the macrophage for A over here.
No, I actually agree right now with the chat. The polling that is like neuron and bacteriophage, those are my top favorites, I would say, but not by that much.
So because it's not quite as obvious, maybe A is a macrophage, B is a neuron. That's pretty obvious. C is the NK cell that you drew specifically for the membership stream. For those of you who don't know, you can, if you have an inordinate amount of money to throw at me, you can optionally get membership at the NK cell tier and be this little badass guy. And then D is a phage, which is a virus that specifically infects bacteria. So it looks like we have a clear winner here, and it is the bacteriophage. So I think the phage has such an iconic design.
That's true.
Just in nature as well, because they look like tiny little robots. But then people kind of misunderstand that the purpose of these little feet aren't to like walk. They're there for binding purposes, to help attach to a bacterial cell.
Okay, but they look like they could walk.
They do look like they could walk. Actually, there's a Reddit post not too long ago about like someone asking, are there any other things like phage that can walk at this scale? And it took everything in my being to be like, phage don't walk.
They can't
They can't walk. They just look like they have little feet.
You love kinesin, but you don't know it.
It's true. You would love kinesin, the motor protein that actually walks across microtubules. I think there was another Reddit post about how, I think it was maybe a mutual that Clockwork had on Twitter that had cited either kinesin or dynein, a professional scientist citing kinesin or dynein as being their first love for molecular biology. And yeah, I'm firmly in that camp. Once you see a molecule walk something that you wouldn't think has any similarity with organic beings, I think you just get hooked. Like kinesin and dynein have done more for molecular biology PR than I think any other molecule has, save maybe CRISPR, although I don't really know if that's true. When I was in grad school, I would ask my students if they had seen the kinesin video, and they all had. It's a very, very popular video. I'm going to leave. I need to go to school and it's late. Have fun. Go to school. Make sure you learn all sorts of good and useful things. Dynein gang, true. Dynein and kinesin do have both, they both do have very distinct methods of walking as well. They're not, they don't walk exactly the same. Kinesin is a lot more human-like, where it'll put one foot ahead of the other. Dynein actually does like little hops. It's like jumping on stilts. It's pretty interesting.
I had no idea that they were different, honestly.
Yeah, they walk pretty differently. Or at least that's how I learned it. I think the video that I used in the rabies video did portray them walking, but if I remember correctly, and I guess I could be corrected if I'm wrong, I think their actual walk cycles do look quite different. Right, cool facts.
Cool facts.
Bracket D.
Oh no, why did you use the one with the coat?
I have the other one in this bracket too. I love this. You know what Toxo named this file? The file for this little guy? She just named it Shady. In my mind, this is Slim Shady.
It's not.
This is Slim Shady. Yeah, so bracket D. So in A, we have rabies, the rabies virus. I mean, viruses, phage have a great design, but eukaryotic viruses are just like weird shapes. So A needs an explanation. A is rabies. B is Shady, which is a generic bacteria in a trench coat. This came from my DNA addiction video. If you didn't know, bacteria can get addicted in a certain definition of addiction to having certain DNA. So I thought, hey, like a trench coat divvying up little packets of plasmids would be an interesting little cartoon to draw. C is a progenitor cell. Completely smooth, featureless, infinite potential. And then D is the squamous cell epithelium. This is a layer of cells that are relevant in the gonorrhea video, because that is where gonorrhea starts attacking you. So where are we going with this? Looks like we're 50-50.
No.
Split between Shady and progenitor cell so far.
Please vote for progenitor cell.
I don't know. Shady's really funny. I love Shady. I love that you called it Shady too.
I don't remember what I name things.
You don't always name the files.
I don't.
Too.
Sometimes it's just generic file name.
But this one is Shady, and I've never changed the name. All right, Shady is moving on to the next bracket. All right, bracket E. Very exciting tournament happening. Who needs the Olympics when you have this? So A is the regular version of the bacteria.
He got a little uwu face.
And for some reason, you had named this file Sorry, like SRY.
Oh, I don't know why. I can't explain that.
I don't know why you were apologizing for having drawn this. But
I'm sorry.
It's very cute. Shady gang, true. B is a natural killer T cell, the immune cell that can detect whether or not a cell has been infected and blow it up. C are a couple of yeast, little yeast bids, and then D is tuberculosis. Yeah. Do you have any particular sway on these designs? I know which one is my favorite from these.
I mean, I think tuberculosis feels very near and dear to my heart, because tuberculosis is the one that has gone through the most iterations. Shout out to the failure stream. But he was originally a lot more like peanutty, like bean boy, and he got a lot longer and smoother, which I do like.
Yeah, and not only that, like we've been with tuberculosis guy for years because this design predates the whole channel.
He's truly been living in my head rent free.
Yeah. It's true, it's true.
Should be a little smug over there.
It's true. But it looks like, unfortunately, tuberculosis will not move on, but instead the sorry bacteria will move on to the next.
Sorry.
The sorry will move on to the next. And then F, this one, the crazy bracket right here.
I like this bracket.
This one's tough. This one's tough. So in A, we of course have the Great Tardigrade, and in B, we have the newest arrival on the scene, the Prion. In C, we have the badge that you get for being a member for like 2 years.
Something like that.
Something like that. It's based off of adenoviruses, like the cold. And then D, there's a hidden, up and coming character addition to the cast, the B cell, which will be featured in the video that I'm making about the microbiome. So this one's tough. This one's tough because I love so many of these, but I know that there's one of these designs that, or the creation of one of these maybe wasn't as pleasant for you.
You could be talking about 2 of them right now if I'm being completely honest.
Really? Okay. Well, I just want to hear what your thoughts were while making these designs.
Okay. I think tardigrade is, tardigrade is classic. Tardigrades have to look like what they look like, right? Prions. I had to convince Phi to let me make Prion into a boy.
Yeah, I actually was uncomfortable initially with making the Prion so cute because I was like, they're pretty terrifying, right? Like the rabies thing is just like a hairy stick, and so I didn't want to downplay the danger and the tragedy that are prion diseases. So initially I resisted the idea of making the prion cute, but after talking it over, like the healthy prion is still a guy. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it does something for you and it makes you part of who you are. It's when the prion gets misfolded where that becomes an issue.
You were being unfairly discriminatory to the poor prion who couldn't control whether or not he was gonna be misfolded.
I mean, that's true. That's true. And I walked it back. I sat on it. I thought about it. And when I saw the misfolded version of the prion, I was like, okay, we can do this because we're not like making a joke out of prions. We're clearly showing that misfolding is bad. And we're just packaging it in a cute ribbon just to not have to talk about terrible things in a terrible fashion all the time. So I did warm up quite a bit to the prion. Yeah, and did you have any other thoughts about?
Yeah, so D, I didn't want to make him a boy.
That's insane to me. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thanks for congratulations on 1 year. Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Toxo didn't want to make the B cell a boy. Think about how weird that would have been for the continuity of the Fiverse, right? Macrophages are boys. Neutrophils are boys. T cells are boys. Neurons are boys. The prion, which is just a protein, is a boy. The viruses are all boys. And then for some reason, when I was like, can you make me like a B cell? Toxo was like, does it have to be a boy or can it be a thing? And I was like, what do you mean?
B cells feel like things to me. They do not feel like they should have cognition.
But everything else does?
Yes.
This is the same brilliant mind that decided to name the bacteria file sorry. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying your artist's intuition goes beyond my comprehension. But like, yeah, I love the B cell. Yeah, Pamela's right. This B cell is so cute. It's truly like I think, I don't know. It just came out. It also looks like the Discord icon, which is kind of fun too.
You grab him by his little handles.
Yeah. B cell is nice and innocent. It's true. I didn't attribute genders to the cells. They don't look like boy or girl. Oh, I just use boy to mean any of these. The genderless form of boy, if you will. All right, so who wins? The tardigrade looks like. Man, the
Tardigrade.
tardigrade. Maybe if you made a girl cell, your your female viewership would increase. Toxo.
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
Interesting. How are we gonna get a female coded? That's gonna be tough. Okay.
I'll give them all little cute eyelashes, and I think that's like the quintessential way to make your cartoon into a girl.
Universal sign. Oh, call them goobers. That's true too.
Oh, the little goobers.
The little goobers. That works. That works.
Yeah. B cells shouldn't be goobers. B cells should be places.
No. The B cell's so cute though. Okay, I'm gonna have to assemble the semifinals thing. So let me go ahead and hide this.
How come there's no D?
It's 3 and 3. Just there aren't any they're not up. So let me rearrange this real quick in my PowerPoint.
Now you're on finals.
Oh no, it's too early. Semifinals. There we go. Okay, so let's take the winners from the previous brackets. So
E. coli
won this one. So we'll load them into the semifinals. There you go. Oh, actually, I can show this. Yeah. Okay, so we loaded the E. coli.
Oh.
And then the second one is gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea,
Right?
baby.
Gonorrhea.
They're cute. Oh.
I copied the slide over. Yeah, the gonorrhea design is quite cute. I do quite like it. And the phage here.
Ooh.
Right, the phage wins here. So, phage in.
I think this one's a hard bracket for me too.
Ah, man, we're getting to the semifinals.
It's getting harder.
All right, here we have Shady. Slim Shady.
Slim Shady, no.
Facing off with the counterpart to Slim Shady, right? We got Sorry over here. And then the tardigrade. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Let's bring OBS back up. Okay. Semifinals. We're really cutting it down now. Hey Syzygy, thanks for showing up. Welcome to the stream. We are doing a tournament hitting all the cute little guys that Toxo had made for this channel. And now we're in the semifinals. A very tough competitive bracket here.
Tough.
Are we really voting on cuteness? It's your favorite boy. Your favorite goober, I should say. Your favorite goober. Doesn't have to be on cuteness. It's just the most superior goober.
Superior.
It's the fellas. That's true. That's true.
I don't think superior necessitates that it's the cutest goober.
It's your favorite goober. Pick your favorite goober. Competition is fierce here.
Ooh, these are close numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tense. It's coming down to it. Oh, it's evening up.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, okay. I think we might have to wait a bit for the votes to normalize. Love the flagella heart. Thank you for noticing, Pamela. That was such a cute design choice. Do you feel like you've evolved as, we were talking about Phi's evolution, but do you think you've evolved over time as the visual genius behind the channel? This idea of the heart flagella is truly inspired. It's very cute. You keep on hiding cute things in the files.
Everything needs to be cute is the problem. That's just what I like. And so I will impose my desires onto your entire channel.
All right. Oh, an alien invasion. Interesting.
Alien invasion.
Oh, welcome. Hello, Faye.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we are being invaded by aliens come to inspect our human biology or our earthly biology. Faye is another science communicator VTuber. She's in the chat right now. I believe, Faye, you were just streaming. Oh, what were you streaming? Were you reading a book on stream? Couldn't remember. Unfortunately, our streams ended up starting at exactly the same time, but thank you for raiding. Thank you so much. Welcome, raiders. Welcome. Yeah, we're in the middle of ranking the cutest designs from the Phi the Neutrophil universe, and we're in the semifinals now, so get your votes in now, because this is a tough semifinal. We're seeing War of the Worlds. Yeah. Faye is great, by the way. If you want to watch one of the most talented yappers, especially one of the most talented science yappers on this platform, you should definitely go watch Faye. It's actually crazy. Like, I think this is a bit of behind the scenes, but actually, because we started at around the same time, and when I would watch your channel, because I'm also a VTuber and I do have like some level of competitiveness, I would just turn to Toxo sometimes and I would just go, Faye's so good at chatting. What? Faye's so good at chatting.
It's
She's
true.
so good at chatting. Like, as a skill, she's so good at chatting. I would just be like, damn. Another great stream. I hope your stream went very well. Okay, so 25 votes in. Who is the winner amongst these little guys? It looks like we have a winner here. It's the E. coli. E. coli moves on to the finals. Thanks, I'm split whether it's a skill or a personal defect or both. What is a unique skill if not a personal defect that you can monetize, baby? Let's go. All right. The second bracket of semifinals. This is also an interesting bracket. I find this bracket to me is harder than the last bracket because my favorite got shut down quite early in
I
this
mean,
tournament.
two of them are the same. Just one of them's wearing a coat.
That is true. So for the audience who just invaded, A is a bacteria. It's just a generic design for a bacteria that I made Toxo draw with a shady coat because bacteria can get addicted to DNA. So I made a video on my channel about DNA addiction in bacteria. And C is like the generic bacteria design. I love the bacteria addiction video, and I'll talk a little bit more about what went into that. But I just love all these designs that Toxo has made. And then B is the tardigrade, a very extremo-tolerant little bugger who survives a lot more than we can in certain cases. This is like picking my favorite child. I know.
No.
I know. My favorite child was ruled out immediately. So but I do have a second favorite, and my second favorite is in the finals. So I'm excited to see whether or not we can crown the best of the goobers, the greatest of the goobers, we'll say.
It's actually so funny, Aiko, that you say that because I guess these are legitimately sort of like my children, like my brain children. And I'm out here being like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Like, you're cute, you can stay.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh, it's kind of close. It's kind of close. Ooh, it's tough. It's tough, but I think we're gonna end the voting there for the favorite goober. And it looks like Slim Shady is moving on to the final.
No,
Let's go. All right. So let's go ahead and.
But yes, I agree. This is it develops your character to be hated on by your mother or something.
Yeah. Oh, they've got a story to tell now. Oh, come on, Slim Shady, let's go.
Slim Shady doesn't want to come to the finals.
Slim Shady does not want to come to the finals. Okay, so the finals. Now, I don't really know what it says about the channel or about the audience where a channel run by an immune cell has 2 bacteria in the finals for the best boy. That's kind of interesting. Toxo behavior.
It me.
So true. We're in the finals now, the final stretch. In A, we have the sometimes innocuous, sometimes dangerous E. coli, and in B, we have Shady, the generic bacteria that gives out addictive plasmids. This is tough. This is tough, y'all. I love these designs so much. Oh god, what a choice. True. We are the insult system. That's really true.
Absolutely.
The compliment system. No, the insult system. Shady bacteria for sure. I don't know. It's really close right now. Really close. 22 votes. Get your votes in. You could sway it one way or another.
How come you didn't choose the E. coli that has his little devil horns and?
Oh, I didn't want to do like doubles because I consider Shady and Sorry to be
Why?
two different
They're
bacteria.
the same.
Shady has a trench coat on, and it's so funny. This is the funniest thing. Why does it look like a rap battle is about to break out? That's true. We could make that happen.
What do you mean we can make that happen?
Can we flip you real quick?
Oh.
Let's go. Rap battle. Yeah. Get your votes in.
You're gonna start
It's gonna
rapping and
be-
breakdancing. It's gonna be
It's
horrible.
it's so close. It's so close. Can we get like one more vote in, or are we cutting it here? It's actually 50-50. It's nuts.
B is trying to sell you something, Gigant. He's trying to sell you some addictive plasmids.
Oh no, we're at 50-50. No. Okay. Shall we tie break? We could still end up tied.
I hate to say this, but I did already vote in the poll, so I'm part.
Oh.
I'm part of this.
You're part of the problem.
I'm part of the problem.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. Is it fair if I break it though? Because the winner gets something.
What do you mean the winner gets
The winner
something?
gets something.
I didn't know this.
The winner gets something. I didn't inform you, but I want to give the winner something.
You're gonna give E. coli or Shady something?
Yeah. But if I had to pick who I want to get the gift, that actually changes my answer.
What the heck?
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna end the poll here.
Where's Perkinji? We'll get her to choose.
I don't know if Perkinji has an opinion on bacterial design, honestly. All right. We're just gonna have to cut it. Maybe we'll reward them both. They're actually tied.
Wow.
That's actually insane. Of 28 votes to have it be perfectly 50-50 is actually nutty. So I think they're both gonna have to share the crown. They're both gonna have to share the crown. And I really did not see this coming. So,
I am glad that what you seem to be doing right now is putting them under the same crown. No, don't.
No. That's what I'm doing. They're sharing. They're friends now.
This is like the giant like get along shirt that you wear with your sibling when you're small.
So I don't know if I'll follow through with this, but I was planning to have like the first winner of the cute goober tournament. If we ever do merch one day, I would love for the best boy, the best goober of year one to have, I don't know, like an acrylic stand or a little plush or something. But the thing is that I think making the E. coli design is a lot easier than making something that has a trench coat on it. But yeah, congratulations to E. coli and Slim Shady for being the winners of the very first Best Goober tournament of the Fivers. Oh man, that's so fun.
Best goober.
Best Goober. All right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take a little break time with a sweet treat. Their get along crown. That's true. That's exactly right. Toxo has left to get us some sweet treats. We will be having my very, 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 very favorite dessert, and I've made a very passionate PowerPoint presentation complete with math to convince you all that banana cream pie is in fact the best dessert. So while we are waiting for that to happen, let's go ahead and check in with the chat. How are you all doing? How is the 1 year anniversary stream hanging so far? Is it everything that was hyped to be? Scoobers, yes, merch. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big you have to be as a YouTuber to actually start selling merch, but I mean, I love all of these designs that Toxo has drawn so much that I cannot wait to actually get my hands on some Five the Neutrophil merch. I think that is something that's always been like a glimmer in my eye since even before. I've always liked the idea of selling sort of cuter designs for cells, because there's a series of bacteria that you can get that are stuffed and are plush, and those are very cute. But between you and me, I prefer Toxo's art. I think Toxo's art is really, really fantastic. Who's this friend that's streaming with you? It's Toxo. She is my partner in crime, and the genius behind all of the visual elements on my channel. Chat trash talk Toxo. She is the mod, you know.
I'll ban.
She says she'll ban you. Congrats on your 1 year. Thank you so much, Faye. Thank you so much, and congrats to you. We did start at around the same time, so it's really awesome to see sort of the progress that we've made in terms of making content and science content on this platform. Looking forward to the stuff that you have cooking up in the future as well. The far front want you to believe this propaganda. I actually don't know what that's as a reference to. Now is your opportunity. Yeah, I know. Like, and I have all these great ideas about like advertising videos about what I could do for merch that would be really fun. It's just about, you know, having time to sort of put all of that together, and learning about how that would work, and preferably operating it not at a loss. Thank you so much. Toxo's back. Your your chance to trash talk her is over.
All right, who's getting banned?
Who's getting banned?
Who is it?
Who's getting apoptosed? Going to try to not make eating noises, but I will enjoy some of this delicious homemade banana cream pie that Toxo made yesterday.
Can't wait for the ASMR clips.
I'm trying to eat away from the microphone.
Neutrophil phagocytosis in 144p.
Homemade, yes. Toxo is a I'm almost an amoeba. Is what are they? What is toxoplasmosis? I forget.
Parasite?
Yeah, amoeboid. But in terms of the technical term,
Oh, I don't remember.
oh god, my biology is failing me.
Fake biologist.
I'm a fake
alert.
biologist. Cancel me. Dang. Anyway, she has a cell of many talents. We'll say that. Can you make cute anime girl eating noises? I don't know that I can, but Toxo is here.
I think it would be better if you made them.
I don't really. I don't really. But yeah, okay. So, banana cream pie is my very, very, very favorite dessert, bar none. And I've been to some very fancy sort of dessert cafes. You know, I don't typically go out and eat expensively, but you know, if you were out with friends, a special occasion could warrant going to something like a dessert bar. And through all of the fancy desserts that I've ever had, a simple homemade banana cream pie that Toxo makes is objectively the best. And that's not just because I love her, that's because I think from a food science perspective, from a food theory perspective, I'm correct. Okay. So why is that? So this is my TED Talk, why banana cream pie is the perfect food. So we all know that enjoyment of food is a combination of taste and texture, right? This is not controversial, I don't think. But actually, I think that there's a lot more in terms of the dimensionality of taste than just taste and texture, or rather food experience, because there's also the concept of richness and eatability, right? So you can have a food that tastes delicious to you and that has all the textures that you like. And like, while taste and texture are highly subjective in terms of like, you know, if you don't like bananas, this is not going to convince you. If you don't like the texture of cream, this is not going to convince you. But these other metrics that I have planned, these are more objective to the human experience, right? Richness is a scale. It's not specific to the human. I love that this is starting exactly how half the conference talks I've seen have started. Exactly. This is the best part about being an academic, is getting to practice sharing your hot takes, but then having data to back it up. So unlike taste and texture, which are varied and not quantifiable because they're specific to the person enjoying the food, richness and eatability are theoretically measurable, right? Richness being the experience of sort of fat in the food or heavy flavor. But richness is a scale because something like celery is all the way down at the not rich end of the scale, whereas something like the fat cap on a T-bone steak is at the other end. Basically how heavy, how calorie dense, or how it makes you feel. That's quantifiable and scientific. And eatability. So these two ideas are somewhat opposed in the sense that rich foods are typically not as eatable. You can think about that fat cap on that T-bone, where you could, if you are a deviant like me, eat that fat cap, but then your body is going to start rejecting the idea of putting more food into your body because you have internal sensors that will tell you whether or not you are satiated. And so enjoyment is a combination of taste, texture, richness, and eatability. If there's something that you love, but you can only have one of, I think that is less overall enjoyment than something that you love that you can have multiple times, right? But not only is enjoyment a matter of the actual lived experience of consuming the food, there's also the the post eating, right? The experience outside of eating. And that, I think, comes down to, at least for me personally, accessibility. So imagine you had the best meal you've ever had in your life. Best meal you've ever had in your life, but you had it in a foreign country and your country doesn't have that kind of food. Well, you had that enjoyment one time. It's the best experience you've had and you can never recreate it unless you go back, which makes it inaccessible. So accessibility for me allows you to establish a long-term relationship with that kind of genre of food. Just make it a Likert scale.
True. We love a Likert scale.
we do like a Likert scale. I'm not pretending. I'm totally sincere and serious here. This is science we're doing here. This is a science channel. So I would rate something that you can have more than one time as being more enjoyable, right? But not only that.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think sometimes the scarcity of a really good thing makes you want it more.
I think that means you're capitalism pilled.
Maybe. Go capitalism.
I think that's because there's this illusion that luxury goods are inherently valuable because they're scarce. And that I think is, I don't agree with that part.
But if you buy into the illusion, then you can just do that.
That's true. I'll say this. I don't care much for scarcity as restriction because I'm already artificially restricted because scarce things cost more money. Which is the other end of this equation, right? So accessibility plus perceived value. So how much do you perceive your experience to be worth it, right? So if you've had like, if you went to, what is the name? Salt Bay's restaurant, right? And you ordered a $1,200 T-bone steak. If you didn't know how much that steak cost, it probably tastes fine, right? Beef tastes good, and if you cook it, it'll taste good. That's why being omnivorous is a lot more easy than being vegan, just because meat has intrinsic flavorings that makes it appealing. But then when you get hit with the bill at Salt Bay's restaurant, that can highly decrease the perceived value of your experience, right?
I guess that's true. Like if something is extremely expensive and it's just mediocre, then I will rate it lower than a mediocre food that also costs like much lower.
Exactly. So if you've been in New York and you've gotten a $1 pizza slice, like what you get is a really good pizza slice. And Kazuichun's brought that out. Like pizza has, as a genre, pizza is very varied. And that I think does play into this. But I'm not talking about as a genre. I'm talking about like one-time experience. And then, well, actually, that's not fair. No, I think you're right, Kazuichun. I think if I were to add another item here, you're absolutely right. It would be variation and creativity within the genre. I think that would be something that I would add here. Although I didn't account for that in my mathematical models, which I will bring up here. Okay, so
Mylan, you can come over for some pie.
Oh, we have so much. There's so much pie. I ate half of the pie yesterday, all by myself. It was amazing, and I'm having more of it right now. Okay, so I'm going to give you all some time while I take another bite of my banana cream pie to ponder this as a mathematical model for quantifying human enjoyment of food. Because on the y-axis, we have dopamine. So this is my metric for human enjoyment. And then we have time. So at t equals 0, that's when you take your first bite of the food. And then I'm actually blocking a very important part of the graph.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we're here.
You're close.
We're close. The enjoyment of food doesn't end with the last bite, right? It's also the experience that you have after the food. And so here, I would say, is where the meal ends. And then you still can get enjoyment after the meal is over. And so if you assume, and all of these will start here, let's talk about steak and sushi. To me, sushi is one of my favorite foods. None of these foods that I have on here I would consider bad. I love all the foods that I'm about to show you. But for me, steak and sushi, it's a very highfalutin, expensive experience that is rare, and so it hits those scarcity notes. But it's also very satisfying because fish live in marinade, right? Fish swim around in their own marinade. They have umami from the sea. They're incredible.
That's a gross take. I'm gonna say that right now. That's a gross take.
I mean, I am a professional phagocyte, so my relationship with food might be a little strange. Steak, I also found very enjoyable, but after the Prion video, I've actually been eating beef less and less. Not on purpose, just
Yes, on purpose.
not on purpose. We've tried to go out for burgers so many times since the Prion video, and I've always gotten to there, and some of those are not like our fault in terms of like sometimes we go to burger places and they're closed. But when we got to a burger place and they were open, I was like, I actually kind of don't want a burger anymore now that I'm like Prion pilled at this point. Thank you, Sophia. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about objective food opinions and why mine is correct. So the thing about this highfalutin experience is that, you know, when you're eating steak or eating sushi or any other like expensive food that you love, and I'm talking about specifically all you can eat sushi because you can get value and volume. You get a dopamine spike, and to me, that's sustainable throughout the meal. Like the first bite of steak and the last bite of steak, delicious. But then after the meal ends and you get the bill, that dopamine starts to go down. And you're like, okay, I feel a little guilty having spent the money, and I know maybe that's just me, and you know it's worth celebrating and treating yourself every once in a while if you can afford it, if it fits within your budget. But because I am who I am, you know, I cook a lot at home, and so anytime I treat myself to something like steak or sushi, I do feel some of that decline in meal quality. So that would be the shape of something like a steak and sushi for me, right? For something like pizza, for me, pizza, the intense flavor of pizza, because I like my pizza with a lot of crazy toppings, to me, that hit of dopamine is very intense on that first bite. Pizza is so good. I love pizza. The issue with pizza is sustainability, at least for me, because I will satiate faster than I get full, if that makes sense. And that's reflective in this mathematical model, where you finish that first, like you have that first bite, it's incredible. It's incredible. That first bite of pizza is so delicious. And then you finish that first slice, but then you're still hungry because pizza itself is not huge. Who eats one slice of pizza? So you go back in for that second pizza, but the thing is, because pizza is so rich, the second slice isn't as enjoyable. It's not as enjoyable, at least to me, right? But it's still good. You still eat it and it's great. But then now you're starting to feel heavy because cheese and oil and pepperoni and stuff like that, that's very heavy. So then the meal enjoyment goes down again. But for me, I usually need like 3 slices to feel full. But after I finish that third slice, that last bite, I'm in pain. That last bite, and I am done with eating for the rest of the day. I will have determined that I've eaten too much, and that's no good for me. I don't feel good after that. The rest of my day is ruined. If I eat 3 slices of pizza with toppings, the rest of my day is ruined. Although sometimes I've even gone back
I actually count that as sort of a good thing, because then it's like, wow, that pizza was so good, I don't need to eat anymore. And you know, that's a cost save. Now I don't need to eat dinner.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. And combined with Jurgen's comment about midnight fridge pizza leftovers getting a second high kick, that's fair. I'll say that maybe if I were to redraw this, that it would be low, but more than 0, because there is that kind of cost save element, because you can gorge on pizza. It is very filling and worth the money. My lack of enjoyment here is not because of cost, as it was with the steak and pizza, but with feeling like absolute garbage afterwards. Pizza does not make you feel good. It's still delicious though. Okay, so next food, ice cream / ramen. And it might be kind of weird to have these both in the same category. And again, I don't dislike any of these foods. I love ice cream. I love ramen. But the thing with ice cream and ramen is that first bite is incredible. Ramen is so flavorful and rich. Ice cream is so satisfying and heavy and is sweet and delicious. So you get that really big dopamine hit. And then over time, you know, when you finish the bowl of ramen, for me, because I don't view noodles as food, because I can eat it.
This is one of Phi's hot takes.
This is my
noodles
hot take.
aren't food.
Noodles aren't food. Noodles are like condiments. I can hoover down an infinite amount of noodles and not feel full. So to me, that like first bite of chashu, the first bit of soup that you can taste is so delicious. And then the noodles are gone and I'm still hungry. So for ramen, I'm disappointed by Meals End because I never feel like ramen is enough. At least in the States, they're not very generous with portion size per cost ratio. And ice cream, it's for the sort of somewhat the opposite reason, where having ice cream is great. Finishing ice cream, not as good. It melts. It's heavy. It's relatively homogeneous throughout, where like the experience of ice cream doesn't really change over time. So the first bite is really good, but then it kind of tapers off. So what do you think about what do you think about this as a graph? I'm talking about real ramen here, Dave.
I think this is not objective science.
How dare you?
I agree the most with your ice cream / ramen take, to be honest. I still think that I derive like a good amount of enjoyment from every single slice of pizza that I'm eating. You know, like the first slice is just as good as the third slice.
Into rate of reliability as well. Dang, don't point that out. What if I want to use this as preliminary data for a grant? All right. I have hummus here too. So maybe it's because steak, sushi, pizza, ramen, they're all very, very...
Okay, heavy. Hummus, the dopamine hit needs to be way higher. I love hummus.
It's for you.
I love hummus.
For you, hummus is your thing, and I respect that. I like hummus too, don't get me wrong. And I'll enjoy eating hummus over time. I should have made one for you that was completely different. But in terms of like something that's lighter like hummus, you can eat a lot of it and not really feel bad. It's flavorful, it's light depending on how much olive oil you add. But for me, hummus, me personally, I never crave hummus, and I don't view hummus as a treat.
You're wrong.
But I like hummus.
You're wrong because hummus is a treat and you should crave hummus.
Hummus is just a side, really? Yeah, like that to me, like I cause the hydrogen's on my side in terms of like I don't view it as like the main attraction, but it is good. I do enjoy it, but it doesn't hit as hard as like pizza. Wait, do you think hummus hits as hard as ramen?
I mean, flavor profile, I guess I have to say no.
Dopamine. We're talking dopamine. How much joy do you get?
Vi makes really good homemade hummus.
I do make pretty good homemade hummus, but I'm being practical with where my hummus stands in the gallery of foods that I have in this mathematical model.
Okay, I would say that because the flavorfulness of ramen is just so much higher, it does create more dopamine.
Yeah, in that spike. But I'm saying like because hummus is like healthier, you can eat more of it. You have a bigger integral.
Jugget, you're on thin ice, okay? Thin ice.
Yeah, Toxo is the mod here. I can't do anything if she bans you. All right, so these were some sample foods, and now I'm going to make an argument for banana cream pie as being the overall champion of foods, and I'm going to actually isolate this from the rest of the graph. But this is kind of my theory. Sorry. Excuse me. Okay, so here's the shape of the curve for banana cream pie. Bananas plus cream, delicious. You can disagree. This initial dopamine spike will vary, but the flavor of bananas and cream, it cannot be beat. To me, it is not only nostalgic, but also persistent in my day-to-day life, where the only thing stopping me from buying bananas more frequently is the fact that they come with fruit flies. But the thing is that banana cream pie, despite the pudding part or the filling part being homogeneous, actually has different textures, which means you tire less often, right? There's a variety of different textures. This is in contrast to something like plain ice cream or ice cream without any mix-ins, right? There are different textures to appreciate, and one of them is quite rich in the sense that it is a cream. So when you go back for that second helping, you don't feel bogged down like you would for something like pizza. So the fact that it is fresh and light makes that second helping easy, and the fact that I can eat so much of it without feeling bad means that the rest of my day isn't ruined, right? And then the long-term relationship I have with banana cream pie and with you is that as long as you are available to make this remains as something that is accessible. I can pine for this and not suffer because of it, right? Like if we had really good food overseas or something, and you would get the craving for that particular food, wouldn't that make you sad to not be able to have that food? When in reality, like...
But you can also enjoy the fact that you ever were blessed enough to have the food in the first
No,
place.
I think that's too tragic.
No, I love tragedy. That's something about me. I love a tragic ending.
I think, like, is that something you would have expected out of her, chat? She does love tragic endings. And I think you have this romanticism attached with these kinds of tragedies, whereas I don't necessarily have that.
But it's got to be like a good tragic. It can't be My Hero Academia.
No, we don't talk about that discourse.
Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up.
No. We don't have hot takes about My Hero Academia. We don't. If we do, then maybe after the stream. So the fact that it's so accessible, the fact that the ingredients are very cheap, makes banana cream pie not only delicious while you eat it, but delicious as a very thing that exists in this world where it feels like a treat. It tastes like a treat, but it's as accessible as a lot of other pantry type things because you don't need a whole lot to make a banana cream pie or to buy one unless you go to a very fancy bakery. So that is my TED Talk. That concludes the TED Talk segment of this stream. A very long-winded love letter to Toxa's banana cream pie. Okay. All right, so that segment is over. You're free to continue to hang out if you want, but I'm going to go over some more superlatives because we did the superlative for the cutest goobers, the best goober, and we did the superlative for best food. And now we're going to do some other superlatives for my channel.
I feel like you let people vote on the best goober and then you didn't let people vote for the best.
So, you know, the thing about like, you don't air... you don't air bad opinions with equal screen time, right? Yeah, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but in the scientific establishment, if you're wrong, you don't get the screen time.
What the heck?
Okay, so all right. What about biscuits? They're highly modular, highly varied, and go well with tea or coffee. I think the shape for biscuits would be. I think we should do a stream where we draw a curve for every food.
Every food.
Every food.
But I think with varied food like biscuits, like I feel there are some biscuits I like a lot more. There are some biscuits I like a lot less. So I feel like I wouldn't be able to draw just one curve for biscuits.
That is true because I feel like pizza is pretty good. There are more decent pizza than bad pizzas out there, at least where we live. So I think that is fair. The variation is quite high for biscuits. Okay, so let's talk about the rabies video as the most viewed video of year one. So this was already sort of briefly mentioned when I talked about milestones, the first video I made that broke 100K. And I just wanted to chat a little bit about the process of making this video and sort of my mentality behind it, just because I think it's fun to revisit early year 5. The first thing that I wanted to show is, oh no, I don't think I had what happened. Something got deleted that wasn't supposed to have gotten deleted. Oh no, we already talked about the thumbnail. The fact that like my first thumbnail for this was like awful. Most graphs enjoyment going down is when you end up overeating. The thing is that I can't overeat banana cream pie. That's why it never goes down. That's why it's awesome. Or you're sad that the meal is over, but I'm not sad.
I've never made him enough banana cream pie for him to overeat it.
It's true. So, it depends. So tell me about the rabies video, right? So I had this thought that I had this feeling that what my audience on YouTube would want to watch is something about horrible diseases, but I didn't want to do it in a way that was clickbaity or made people fear. I didn't really want to like go too deeply on fear as a main attractor, because if I were just focused on numbers, I think I would do a lot better talking about these and having like more horrific eye-catching thumbnails. But for me, what I wanted to do was to make a video that was more interested in the story of molecular biology, and I felt like rabies was a good place to start because that would have the most buy-in for people to watch my actual channel. And that turned out to be a good idea. And what was sort of interesting is that the feedback for that video was were mostly quite positive, apart from a couple of things that people had pointed out about how I treated talking about the Milwaukee Protocol and the status of the price of the rabies vaccine. And I think those are valid concerns to have with the video. Looking back on it, I am quite proud of, because you always have to give yourself some sort of slack when it comes to where you were a year ago, because you just have less skills. The more you practice, the more you get better, right? And I wanted to fit in a joke about how, like, if you make content your entire life, never publish any of it, maybe one day you'll have a YouTube channel with a B rating on Social Blade. And I do really feel that way about the rabies virus video, where I didn't have all the necessary tools to make it how I would make it today, but for my talent at the time, I thought it was quite good, and I'm quite happy with it. And I'm glad that so many people found my channel through that video. All right. My favorite video of the year. Oh yeah, that's Perkinji. Toxa went off to feed Perkinji. She's been waiting very patiently for 5 p.m. to eat. She's always very well behaved when it's stream time. If I weren't streaming, she would be complaining at like 4. I think she knows that I'm streaming. She's being very polite. I can't. I don't know what it is about streaming, but she does wait till 5 to start complaining. My personal favorite video of the year has to be the Prion video. It was so much fun doing this research. I've actually made a second thumbnail for it, so if this thumbnail on the right looks different, it's because YouTube has allowed A/B testing, which has been a lot of fun. And so this video, I had been obsessed with prions since the mad cow outbreak in, you know, I don't want to date myself, but when I was a kid, because of all the things that I mentioned in the video, right? An invisible pathogen that you can't destroy, not really. I mean, you can, but it's laborious and difficult, that kills in the matter of decades and, you know, robs you sort of your personhood when it comes to dementia. Very scary stuff. And as a kid that was obsessively Googling things about rare and horrible diseases, the story from the rabies video is true. I would pray to God, a god that I had learned about in Korean math camp, every night to avoid these types of diseases. I was maybe not in the maybe not the healthiest thing to have a relationship with, but I think the progression of science sort of depends on people who do find these terrible topics interesting enough to overcome the dread of studying these terrible things. Not that I've done any prion research myself, but in terms of producing research, but I am an enjoyer of reading what happens. And actually, a failed grant application that I wrote for the National Science Foundation was on studying the folding mechanics of prions. So I've had an academic interest in prions for a long time, to the point where I was about to dedicate my life to studying them. But the NSF turned me down. No surprise there. NSF grants are very, very difficult to get. But I'm glad that I forced myself to write in a grant anyway, because it helps to communicate. When you want money and you practice writing about how to get money, you do get better at it eventually. Some of the crazy things I learned about the prion video that I didn't know back when I was an undergraduate writing a grant for the NSF were the fact that there's this prion doppelganger called Doppel, and the fact that it has nothing that we know, no function in the brain as far as we know, but it does have a function in making sure that your sperm forms correctly, and that was really surprising. I loved this kind of mystery and drama, talking about how Doppel, the science around Doppel had contradicted the science around prions, right? Like the different mouse lines. Some mouse lines showed that prions were important, some of them showed that they weren't. A great scientific mystery. And then the answer to that mystery being that prions have this doppelganger was absolutely bonkers to me, right? To me, that was one of the least expected things to have read. I actually had to look up, because Doppel is to prion, the relationship I think is ortholog or something. I had to look up what that meant, like a clone that matured and evolved over time to form something very similar. And I thought that was a nice, interesting kind of story to latch onto, because it is like this kind of evil twin and quote unquote good twin, or corruptible twin, I should say. Shouldn't assign morality to the prion. But like a prion version that can be harmful, and a version of the prion that is not only not harmful, but does something that you need in terms of passing your genes on. Oh, Purkinje is very excited to get fed right now. I'm surprised the pre-mRNA in the modified rats managed to extend out 16 kilobases. Yeah, I don't really know too much about the mechanics of our mRNA in terms of whether or not that is a surprisingly long transcript to have. But I mean, I guess if they don't encounter a stop codon, then maybe that'll be why. Cats in chat. Purkinje's chomping down just like I am on this banana cream pie. But in terms of like jaw-dropping moments, the reason why this is my favorite is not only the Doppel story, but the lichen story. I had no idea that there were natural biologic enzymes out in nature that could degrade the prion protein or prion aggregates. To me, when I was writing my grant proposal as an undergraduate, it seemed like this thing would, like, we as humans would have to design something that could break prions apart. And the fact that something as crazy as a lichen can do it naturally, I'm really interested in seeing whether or not scientists can figure out if that's the reason why we haven't had a prion apocalypse yet. There were some very smart commenters. And by the way, I forgot to have this as a superlative, but my commenters, not only you in the chat, but also just like the comments in my comment section, have not only corrected me in several cases, but also made me wish I had made the videos longer because they've pointed out some really interesting things. And one of them had brought up the fact that it's possible, although unproven, that lichens are actually the thing that is preserving our species in terms of prion apocalypse. Because if you think about transmission of prion disease, right? Like say a deer dies and its brain matter decays into the soil, we know that those prion aggregates can last in the soil for up to like a decade or a decade more, right? But why isn't that like, why are there still, if they grow exponentially, why are there still deer left? You would think over evolutionary time, anything with an exponential growth function would essentially not exist anymore in terms of fatality. And one commenter had very smartly observed or hypothesized that maybe the reason why we haven't had this prion apocalypse is because there are herbaceous animals that consume lichens. And so if they also consume prions and consume lichens, maybe that's how they uptake this enzyme that breaks down prions. And I thought, that's so smart. That is really, really smart. I don't know if that is true. I haven't seen any research that suggests that ingesting lichens can give you prion protective powers, but certainly I would keep my eyes and ears open for stuff that comes out about that in the future. It's just such a fascinating line of thought. All right. Sorry, 1 second. All right, most underrated video of the year. This is my bacteria addiction video. This is where the co-winner of the Best Little Goober tournament came from. This is my video where I explained that there are addictive elements of DNA that get bacteria hooked, and when they acquire this piece of DNA, they cannot live without it. And so this is somewhat how like addiction works in people, right? Or at least withdrawal. It should really be withdrawal, right? Like, you know, speaking about severe addiction, sometimes your body adjusts homeostatically to have that chemical be introduced into your body. And so analogous to that experience is this idea that once a bacteria gets a certain type of DNA, that it cannot function and will die without it was very harrowing. And the fact that that kind of happens at the scale of microbes, I thought was pretty incredible. I also think this is underrated because I love this thumbnail that I made. I think Shady and Sorry here on the thumbnail being the two guys is so fun. And I like the rainbow DNA codons in the background. I don't think it's the most readable. I would maybe re-upload this and change the font. But if you haven't seen this video, I highly recommend it because it's something that I really, really loved learning about. Just this idea that addiction can happen to some of the most simple organisms is very, very bonkers. Okay, here we are going to be talking about some of my collab mates and looking back at all the content that we did. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to message some of my collab mates just to let them know that I might be calling them soon, depending on if they're available. bear with me. And then I'll message one more. Okay, so this happened in the milestone category where we were talking about my first collab. So my first collab, of course, was with Cideray, and we talked about the neurobiology of stress in mice. So the way that I handle collabs is I call them, and we sort of have a brainstorming session about what would be appropriate to cover in something like a collab. And so we'll usually chat for a bit, and then I'll go off and find some open access sources to do a journal club on. And to me, collabing with her at this early stage was really encouraging because I was of the opinion that like, oh, you know, I'm like hard pot committed to this hobby. Like I will read extra and do work to make this happen. But I didn't want to like force that upon people. And I've said this multiple times. I'm always surprised at how much effort my collab partners put into all this. And Cideray is very busy currently. She's doing writing her thesis, trying to finish up grad school. And so I had mentioned to her, like, oh, you know, you could just be like a React YouTuber, and we can talk about the science, and you can react live, and you don't have to take time out of your day to do this. And she was like, nope, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read all of it, even though this is way outside of her comfort zone in terms of this paper about the neurobiology of stress is very much a molecular biology paper. It has to do with animals and molecules and stuff. And kudos to her for putting in the effort. And it was actually a bigger ask than I could have predicted, because this paper was tough. It was really hard to read this paper. It was in a journal that I think I love the journal that it came from because it is open access, and I support this idea of everybody being able to read where your tax dollars go to in terms of the public funding the research. But I think what I've noticed in this journal is that the narrative element of the journal is a little lacking, that the attempts of the writers to put together a story sometimes just isn't there. And reading the paper, I struggled so much. And I kept on frantically messaging her, just checking up on if we understood the paper in the same way. And together, I think we got a fair bit amount out of it. But reading it was actually really, really tough. It was one of the tougher papers I've had to read and understand. So it's just like kudos to Sai for sticking up, putting up with that for so long. And now behind the scenes as a member of V Theorem, she's been really like awesome behind the scenes as well, in terms of like, she might be the first VTuber in history. I don't know that for a fact, but maybe the first VTuber in history to receive grant funding from an academic institution. That's truly inspiring, and it makes me want to be the second, at least as far as I can tell. And if you don't know that, she's been awarded, I forget what the place is called, but essentially there's some academic organization out there that officially endorses the idea of an anime girl teaching about psychology online, and I think that's wonderful. So it looks like Nep is not quite ready to talk right now, so maybe we'll check back up on her a little later, and I'll move on to talking about some other collab mates. Okay, so that's really cool. It is really cool. Like, it was always my intention from the start of the channel to eventually find official support from academia, just because, you know, there's a lot of discourse about we need more science communicators, that more people with high-level education should be making education accessible to the public, and I agree. But I don't think you have to rely on professors to do that kind of thing, or researchers. Of course, researchers are very, very busy. And so, like, pushing them to do more communication is fine, but you can't expect that to happen, right? And so this is where I think this generation of science communicators that have heavy science background can start to carve out our own niche in terms of being in between a traditional science journalist with maybe a little bit of science background, but mostly in a background in writing. And then like midway, we can be the bridge between connecting very high level topics in an accessible way with science journalism, which is, from my perspective, it does a great job. Like science journalists do incredible work, but they sort of, I feel like they cut out a lot of detail that nerds would really love to over obsess about. Again, not shading any science journalist. Science journalism is incredible, especially if you go to the right places. But it's more that, like, because they have an academic or a monetary model that encourages clicks and engagement, they might not be as willing to go as deep as something like a journal club where you pick apart something in a very deep level. And part of my hope and dream for the channel is we start encouraging or building an audience for this kind of actual, like, realistic deep dive into science. Of course, there are channels that do deep dives into science, but not as many go line by line or even paragraph by paragraph into what science actually looks like in through the eyes of a scientist. So it's kind of a dream I have. If your requirement for a communicator is that they've dedicated years to an entirely different career, you will have a hard time finding willing participants. Yeah, it's true. That is a good point there. But it is something that I think in my unique life situation, that I'm happy to attempt to be that interface. I love the Journal Club streams. I love doing them a lot, honestly, especially because, you know, my chatters, I'm not grading you on anything. You can truly just enjoy the idea of science without worrying about a grade, which interfered a lot with my own enjoyment of science until I left school. Okay, let's talk about PsychinMD. So PsychinMD is a doctor VTuber, one of two that I am aware of, and this was a very special stream for me because I got to talk to a career professional doctor as a VTuber on stream where we could talk about our lived experiences. So I had originally pitched some medical-y topics, but Psychin actually came back at me with wanting to be more of doing what I do, but for medicine, in terms of increasing accessibility of understanding what that life could be like. So he's done streams where he's talked about what it's like being a resident and sort of the nitty-gritty of what the day-to-day of a doctor's life actually looks like, which I think is underappreciated in our schooling system, because I had been pre-med for so long. I've been pre-med since my parents told me you can either be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And so since that age, it has been my singular goal career-wise to end up in a situation like Psychin in terms of taking care of patients. But I am far too asocial to have the stuff to do that, right? And so comparing and contrasting our lives was actually really interesting and fun to do because, you know, I truly think I dodged a bullet. I had decent grades in undergraduate, good enough to get into medical school, maybe on my second try. It was a little low for my first try, but on my second try, I think I could have done it. And I just think that my life would have been a lot worse had I done that. And also talking to PsychinMD behind the scenes was also really interesting because I think part of what solidified the idea that I would be not a great doctor is that I think all the doctors that I've talked to are really good at talking, not yapping like I'm doing here, although they can be good at yapping, but rather making you feel like you are heard and engaging in interesting conversation. They're all like good conversationalists and they make you feel at ease. And I'm like, I don't think I fit that bill. I have actually been told multiple times in my life that I come across as intimidating. And I don't know what chat thinks about that. If you had known me in real life, and don't, because, you know, parasocial and everything, but like, do I give an air of intimidation? Because at this stage, it's a lot cleaner of a metric, or a lot cleaner of a question, I would say, because I'm not like a 1 million subscriber YouTuber that has a huge, you know, swarm of adoring fans. Right now, I'm still a little guy. It's only been 1 year. But like, since I have been told that I come across as intimidating, I have come to respect the art of making people feel like they don't have to be afraid. I get the same feedback IRL. I don't know what it is. When I talked to you, Clockwork, behind the scenes, I didn't think you were intimidating at all. When you read my comment, it was a little scary, but you seem nice overall. That's what I think. I don't think so for context, right? Like, I don't even think I come across as intimidating physically because, you know, I'm average height for an American. And I actually have short energy. I have been told this by multiple people that I have short energy, which I don't take offense to at all. I'm very puzzled as to what they mean by that. And what they mean by that is when they see Toxo and I together, they say, "Oh, you're actually taller than Toxo." And I go, "Yeah, I am taller than Toxo by like a decent chunk. I don't know how you could have thought we were the same height." So I think I have small stature as my aura, which I think makes it. I don't know. I feel like that doesn't make because I remember being on Brown's campus and watching the football team come in, and those dudes were jacked and enormous, and that was intimidating. And I am not that. In fact, I am shorter than what my biological height would suggest. So I don't know where that sort of intimidation comes through. Never thought about it, but I think you could come across as intimidating. Yeah, I mean, it's been consistent enough in my life where I've learned to keep that in mind and perhaps even leverage it for not antisocial, but asocial purposes. From your content, you seem like a fun, normal guy. I don't know that I would. I'm glad to come across as normal because I feel like in many stages of my life, I feel like I'm pretty abnormal. People say I am intimidating too, but I agree with them. That's true. We are an intimidating couple. Yeah. So the fact that like chatting with him, I felt and I verbalized this because I'm not like afraid to speak well of people that I respect. I was like, I feel like if we grew up, in the same sphere, that we would have been friends. I still believe that. Of course, adult friendship now is complex and complicated, but back then, if we were both pre-med as children, I get a sense that we would have hung out. Although he comes across as such a social like Chad almost. I would be the like weirdo kid to his supreme chattiness. But I think that synergy I think is quite interesting. So that's a bit about Saiken. So Spolax is someone that I had met through Resta actually, and this was a collab that we did where I had seen Spolax stream with Resta, and they did a tier list of intimidating lab objects, including like the centrifuge and liquid nitrogen gas tanks, and that was like one of my favorite streams of the year. I think just the idea of taking something that is inaccessible and unknown about being a scientist and then transforming it into something accessible like a tier list is kind of the ethos of my whole channel. And it was a lot of fun hanging out with Spolax and Resta, and I can't remember who the third person was on stream. But like swapping stories about how all the near-death instances with regards to handling scientific machinery was really fun, and I hope illuminating for people who might not have that experience in the chat. Yeah, like, for example, if I had $1 for every time an undergraduate ran a centrifuge unbalanced, I would have $3, which is 3 brushes with death, basically. There's one thing that you need to learn about the centrifuge, and it's the balance. And every year, without fail, there will be an undergrad that screws that up. It was just you two. Oh, I see. Yeah, that stream was so much fun. And just chatting about how like different equipment makes us fear in different ways, because I think in that stream they had mentioned, I don't know if it was you or Spolax had mentioned the French press being something intimidating, and I'd never considered that as a intimidating piece of equipment, but that was really fun, I think, to get to step through and think, oh, hypothetically, yeah, it's just like good yapping material. You can just yap about whatever in that moment. But I'm pleased to see compressed gas and centrifuges high on that tier list. I thought it was a lot of fun. And also, he was just a very charismatic guy behind the scenes as well, very personable. There is a bit more of an age gap between us than there is between me and Saiken, but it's the same idea of like, if we had gone to school together, I bet we would have been friends. How can you forget to balance it? That was pretty much step 1. I mean, a lot of things happen when you are training novices, and I don't blame them. I'm just surprised. It's literally the first thing we teach them, and yet without fail, there will be. And the thing is, they'll never do it again. Once you hear the awful noise of a centrifuge going off balance, you will never load a centrifuge unbalanced ever again in your whole life. But yeah, Spolex is a bit on a content hiatus, but I hope he returns to streaming quite soon. Fun guy. But he's also one of these VTubers that I've roped into doing science content just because, unlike Sideray, who markets herself as someone who does do science education, I'm very happy to collaborate with anybody who can speak about what they do professionally, just because I love yapping with people who do cool things. And so yapping with Spolex was a lot of fun. I got to talk to the second doctor, Dr. Wendell, not a VTuber, about predictive processing, which is this model by which neurons are hooked up to one another and how they communicate. And this collab was a struggle for me. I had to message Dr. Wendell so many times because I couldn't wrap my head around how predictive processing worked. I have a lot of computer people in my chat, a lot of people who are used to thinking about circuits and gates and stuff like that, and I just wasn't prepared. And something that I think, and Mylon, I don't know if you're still in chat, but maybe you can speak on to the like academic hubris as an idea, because I know that Sideray has this, that we all think that we're really qualified at whatever we do, even if it's within our qualifications or not. I call it unjust unjust hubris, basically. Like, I think because I survived grad school in some shape or another, I feel like because grad school was so hard that I'll just be good at learning everything now. I'm done improving. I've reached my maximum. I'm just smart. And reading this paper was a real kick in the ass because the brain is very complicated. And even though I studied the brain as a graduate student, I didn't study the brain at the level of the circuit. I studied the neurobiology of the neuron, right? The biology of the neuron, not how neurons are connected. And I went through Discord message after Discord message after Discord message, asking him if I had gotten anything wrong. And he would very kindly and politely and gently correct me at every step of the way, which I found to be I was very grateful because I was asking a lot out of him. And the conversation we had was genuinely very interesting. If you're interested in sort of a potential mechanism behind things like schizophrenia and ADHD, potential mechanism, not claiming that it's true, but just like one thing that could be happening because we don't know how a lot of these conditions work, you might want to check out that stream, especially the end, just because if you can keep it all in your head, it's really, really interesting. But if you don't want to go through the entire stream, you can go to his Substack here, which is polypharmacy.substack.com, and read his summary of the journal club, which is fantastic. That way you don't have to sit through all of our yapping. You can just read his thoughts. And he's a very good communicator too. The writing is very clean. The second I take a step out of my narrow area, my skull becomes full of cotton. That's interesting. So we actually might have the opposite sort of effect, where I think because I'm good at one thing, I'm great at everything, and I constantly get checked. Constantly get checked because of it. The way I understood computer science was through Minecraft Redstone of all things. You're not the only one. I think a lot of us learned our basics, if you're a little more boomer than Minecraft, through HTML and Neopets. Signal processing, math and control system modeling, math is fascinating. It is. Math is genuinely the cleanest and the most beautiful of the subjects. But math doesn't come with the tragedy that biology comes with, because underlying all the fascinations in biology is eons of death, more or less. So I don't know, maybe that's what Toxo and I have in common, that the highlight of tragedy, I think, does it for me in biology. But in terms of just pure, I can't believe this is true about the universe, something like Euler's identity, where you can link I, E, what else, pi, -1, you can link all of that into one equation, and the fact that so many identities converge into one equation is kind of nuts. And I don't think anything compares in biology to that level of pure aesthetic beauty, but I think there is narrative beauty in biology. All right. So Clockwork, I don't know if Clockwork's still in chat, but Clockwork, hold on, let me Okay, yeah. Clockwork submitted a gift. So Clockwork is not from the VTubing sphere. So Clockwork, I don't know how you would best describe the work that you do, but I would describe him as a very in-depth animation channel for biology, a biology channel for people who love biology, I think. And the reason why I describe that is because I learned more about ATP synthase, which is something that every biochemistry student learns about. ATP synthase is one of the greatest molecules to ever exist. And I learned so much more from watching his video about exactly how that enzyme works than I ever did in Biochemistry 101. And I think that is a compliment to him because A, it's not easy to teach biochemistry. It's just not. It's imaginative in kind of way, and you have to have sort of math sense, which can be kind of difficult. But his video on ATP synthase was so good at hitting the basics, but also bringing you to the place where you can enjoy things as a biologist would. Sort of, I think we are similar in that sort of ethos where I don't want to rehash Kierkegaard's material. I don't want to rehash SciShow 101 stuff. I want to start where I assume you don't know anything besides a high school class of biology and bring you to the point where I find the thing interesting, which is a little further beyond other kinds of content. I think that's most obvious when you look up tardigrades, because don't get me wrong, the current videos about tardigrades online are great for entry-level appreciation of tardigrades, but you don't often hear about how they molecularly work, and that's what I'm interested in, which is why I made my tardigrade video. And Clockwork, I think, is doing the same on the molecular level. So I'm cell and molecular biology. I do some molecule stuff, I do some cell stuff. To me, that's my comfort zone. I think Clockwork really honed in at the level of the protein, and he's much more qualified than I am at talking at that level of depth, which is, I think, really engaging. I think on the pipeline, like I could be a pipeline for his channel. Like I could feed into his channel, because if you want to know more about how proteins work, Clockwork is a great location to be in terms of where you would end up. So Clockwork submitted a gift to me. Hold on, I'm just checking. Clockwork submitted a gift to me, and I'll pull that up on the screen. I've not watched this, by the way.
Hey Fi, and happy YouTube anniversary for me, Clockwork.
Let's
I
hide
appreciate
this.
your generosity in allowing me to represent myself as your friendly
it's
neighborhood
playing already. I
CD4
don't want
helper
to play.
T-cell when I make my visits to the PNCU. You know, the
is it
fine
playing?
neutrophil cinematic universe.
I can't hear it though.
I'm
One second. I haven't. No, it's going. Hold on. This is scuffed. 1 second. It is playing. The thing, I can't hear it, which is unfortunate. So I might have to change how this works, because I didn't watch it ahead of time. It's going to be a surprise to me. So why don't I open this as a video and then do that as an OBS source? That might be a little better. I just assumed that it would play in my ear too, and that totally didn't happen, so. Work. Yep, let's do that. I think that's good. We can watch it in my Windows media player. I think that's fine. We can deal. Okay, now I can listen in as well. We can enjoy this video together. This is very cute immediately, by the way. You didn't have to do this. I just said, like, if you want to draw me like a little thing, that'd be fine, but you don't have to. Oh, before I do that, I'm gonna get in trouble. Before I get into Clockwork's gift, I first must point out, just so that it isn't weird later, before I forget that, tease Mylan in there real quick. Cideray also made me a gift. She's away at Vexpo right now, so she quickly brought this up, which I thought was very nice. So there's a board apparently at Vexpo, and she drew this for me, which I thought was very kind, and also is very much in the YouTuber line of never stop grinding, never stop plugging. So here is a plug that she made for me on this post-it board, sandwiched in between. It looks like the mascots for Polka and I think Mume, right? Yeah, very, very cute. So thank you very much, Sai. I know she's been like crazy busy, so the fact that she managed to crank this out, I am very appreciative that she had contributed to my little gift, my little birthday gift stream. Okay, let's go back to Clockwork. People didn't have to submit gifts, by the way, but I am very appreciative when they did, because everyone's busy. So let's watch this.
Happy YouTube anniversary for me, Clockwork. I appreciate your generosity in allowing me to represent myself as your friendly neighborhood CD4 helper T-cell when I make my visits to the PNCU. You know, the fine neutrophil cinematic universe. I'm really sad I couldn't be here live.
Oh no, it's not showing God.
So many different immune responses.
Why? One more time. We can do this. Okay. Sorry. We got this. Okay, one more time at the beginning. It's on the screen. We got it. Let's go.
Hey,
Clockwork's gift.
Happy YouTube anniversary for me, Clockwork. I appreciate your generosity in allowing me to represent myself as your friendly neighborhood CD4 helper T-cell when I make my visits to the PNCU. You know, the fine neutrophil cinematic universe. I'm really sad I couldn't be here live, but you know how it goes. There's just so many different immune responses going on every given second. But I wanted to make sure you had something from the molecular biology / structural biology side of your cohort of collaborators. So I'm not super sure how this goes, but I got you a gift to celebrate this awesome 1-year anniversary. Since this is pre-recorded, I'm just gonna go ahead and open it. I got you a bunch of nets. You know, neutrophil extracellular traps in their own little granules, so you don't have to use any of your own when you're out and about having to do any kind of like immune responses. I mean, obviously you and me know neutrophil extracellular traps are kind of one of the many weapons neutrophils such as yourself use to fight off pathogens in your day-to-day activity. A lot of neutrophils, you know, go whole hog with all their granules and go full netosis, blowing themselves up to make these big gels of DNA and antimicrobial proteins. But you can also use a bunch of smaller granules like this as more of like a ranged attack style situation, which I thought you would appreciate since, you know, netosis is super uncomfortable. I also got you a bunch of different varieties that are kind of chock full of different weapons depending on the situation you find yourself in. This one's pretty heavy on phospholipase, so you can just erase the membranes of any hapless bacteria that are you in the wrong place or the wrong time. I loaded this one up with lactoferrin, so you can just totally shut down any RNA activity going on, viruses, retroviruses, nothing. It's over. I mean, as you know, lactoferrin is one of the bigger antimicrobial agents inside, you know, mucus and snot. That's how we kind of like have that first line defense against viruses, and so I think it's cool that neutrophils can kind of do snot on demand with their nets, their neutrophil extracellular traps. Cool. And finally, if things are just too gnarly, this one is just loaded up with myeloperoxidase. You know, just bleach a whole situation if it seems like, you know, things are just getting a little bit too intense in whatever pathogenic incursion you find yourself dealing with. But yeah, a bunch of nets in granules. I think it works, right? I hope. In all sincerity, though, congratulations so much on making it through your first year on YouTube. I think it's astonishing how well you've grown this channel in your first year and how you've established this really strong niche, both in the VTubing space as well as in the YouTubing space. I really appreciate being given the opportunity to come on to one of your live streams and talk about molecular biology. Hope I get more of those opportunities as you think about how you want to communicate molecular and / or structural biology in the future. And overall, I'm just excited to see how much you've already expanded your VTuber empire, as well as how well the life sciences community here on YouTube is kind of going through this really cool renaissance. It's an amazing time to be here, and I'm so excited to see what you do with your next year and well beyond that. Happy YouTube anniversary, Fi. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for tolerating this shtick, but that seems like a good place for me to go. So be well, good luck, and as always, I'd like to leave you with peace, love, and cytokines. Thanks again, man. See you.
That's awesome, dude. Clockwork is a content creator through and through. That was amazing. Again, I am shocked. Just the how, like, in my message request, I was just like, if you want to like join me, like a little thing, like pre-record like a little voice message. I was like, that's all you need to do. But I have surrounded myself, I think, with some pretty incredible people. Clockwork is so nice behind the scenes too. I mean, he's very easily excitable, which makes his excitement contagious. Like, he's very dedicated in his communication of biology, and we share the same sort of, like, we're not traditional academics. We didn't actually, I don't want to speak too much for his background, but we share the background of, we are not professor level people that descended down from the ivory tower to deliver the content. We are pretty close, I think, to the average person with regards to where we stand in academia. It's just that with our obsession, we are trying to make the content that we love so much accessible to more and more people. And like, dude works hard. He grinds hard. I feel lazy compared to Clockwork, because like that was produced as well as my normal videos, and he banged it out for a happy birthday gift, which is just bonkers. He's also like really nice behind the scenes in the sense that he offered to teach me how to animate in the style that he does, which is incredibly generous, right? Like if you think about like meta in terms of YouTube, you could go at it from like a competitive angle that like, oh, you are allowing me to take place in the niche that you have, which is very kind. And also I hate watching tutorials, so getting him to show me how to animate like him is actually something that I would take advantage of if I wanted to one day. And it's not trivial for him because it takes time. Like I don't think he learned to do that on the flip of a dime. It's just incredible work. And I'm also mirroring this kind of excitement of, as a little guy, I do want to make a splash in the VTuber scene, but also, yeah, Clockwork is right. There does seem to be a bit of a renaissance in biology content these days, especially because the YouTube algorithm necessitates that old channels, that were grown up in a different environment. It's sad, but it's true that algorithm no longer favors some of those more profitable, older established channels. And now the new algorithm is allowing littler guys like us a chance to get our stuff out there as well. So I echo the excitement. It was a lovely, lovely gift. Clockwork's got a mailing list going on too. That's true. I wish he were actually here to actually plug his actual links, because he is devout in his pursuit of biology education, and we definitely will, I think, talk in the future with regards to content collaboration. Although maybe not a live stream. I think it would be fun to have him guest star in a formal long-term thing. But let's talk for the future. Clockwork, my biology nakama here on YouTube. That was awesome. Okay, next. So, Resta, are you around? Are you around, Resta? Let me go ahead and message her. So, Resta, this was my latest collab, and she sent me a gift. Let me get that loaded on. Okay, great. So Resta is here. Let me go ahead and call you real quick, and then I'll get your PNG up on the screen. Let's see if that works. Hello, hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, wait. Let me make sure that your audio source is on and that your PNG is on. Sorry, there's like a lot going on in OBS right now. There you go. There you go. Say something.
Hello.
There you are. Hello, Resta. Welcome to the anniversary stream. Thanks for becoming a member too, by the way. Yeah, so this was the latest stream that we've done, and it was also a big step for me as someone that hosts collabs in terms of thinking about how to do collabs, which I think is pretty significant. So why don't we start with just you plugging yourself and then talking about how the collab went for you and what the collab was, as I get your present ready on the screen in the background.
Gotcha. Also, before I begin, congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you so much.
And for anyone who hasn't seen me yet, I'm Resta Makurabe, pillow personified, cuteness bonafide. As you may tell from that intro, I don't typically make educational content, but Fi has been a huge inspiration and supporter, and together this programming and bioinformatics stream happened.
Yeah, and as I said to my chat while we were doing it, I was always thinking about doing a bioinformatics stream because I know that I have so many computer people in my chat. But without Resta, I don't think I ever would have done one, just because I'm personally very uncomfortable with bioinformatics, considering I dropped out of my bioinformatics classes in undergrad. It's so funny, I was actually talking about you in my last stream where I was making a game about evolution. You know, even though I'm not good at bioinformatics, I did take one programming class in Python, and I think I was saying like, dang, I wish Resta were here because my brain isn't big enough to like figure out how to put together the pseudocode for this game. So I think part of why I did that stream is because we had so recently talked about bioinformatics and programming, and I think that kind of tickled the part of my brain that did enjoy that as a discipline. So I want to thank you for sort of reigniting a bit of a part of my past life, I guess I could say, where I thought I could do programming as a career. So how did
Likewise.
yeah
Thank you for helping me bring my VTuber side and science side together.
Yeah, and again, like you and Spolax, you don't market yourselves as biology VTubers, but after having conversations with the both of you, it's like it's very clear that you're both very capable biologists. And you know, I was just like, if you wanted to like do a thing where we talk about science because science is more fun to do together than it is to do alone, then you know, I would be down. And I'm very grateful that the both of you had said yes. It was very kind, and I'm glad you took a chance on doing something that is maybe a little less comfortable. Yeah. But okay, so Resta has a gift for me that truly boggles my mind. So so this is what she sent me. It might be kind of hard for chat to see this, so I'm going to make this as big as possible. And this legitimately stumped me, and I don't know what to make of this, and Resta won't elaborate. So if I could employ chat's help into helping me figure out what this is, that would be very, very, I would be very, very grateful. Say, so chat. What am I looking at here? It looks like a Caesar cipher of a URL. It does, doesn't it? Let me tell you a little bit of behind the scenes. Is I looked at this and I was like, Resta, what do I do with this? Do I just put this in a browser source? And then she gave me these like cryptic hints about you know, thinking about the stream we did last time, and I was like, oh no. I've severely disappointed myself in not figuring it out for myself. But chat, you got it. Yeah, it's a URL. One shift. Is it one shift? I actually don't know if this is one shift. Resta, do you have the text for this, by the way? Because it's an image and I don't want to like click it one by one.
Sure.
Thank you. But it is a very fun, cheeky little reference back to our old collab. And I would love to see where this pirate booty leads us. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the text, and I'll paste it in chat, and then let's use a Caesar cipher to figure this out. HTTPS is shifted forward, and the www is shifted backward. No, Resta, you didn't have multiple Caesars in this, did you? Okay, all right, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's do this. Oh, interesting. So, because I've used Caesar ciphers in my D&D game, I know that you can just look for a Caesar cipher decoder. So, let's see. Okay. Can I send you what I believe the unscrambled version is, and can you just confirm, because I don't want to go to like virus.virus.com. Oh, wait, I think I just confirmed it myself.
Yep.
When I sent it to you. Okay, all right, so let's see where this goes. Oh, that's so funny. Hold on. Okay, let me put this up on screen. That's so funny. Okay, so we put this as window capture. How should I do this? I don't want to like dox myself by putting up a browser source because that's like my biggest fear. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Is that okay?
It is interactive.
Oh
so
my god, you're right. Okay, hold on. Okay. Yeah. It is interactive. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Dang. Okay. I should have prepped better. So let's maybe do Is there anything doxable? Can I just do screen? Yeah, there's doxables in the background. That's not good. Yeah, let's do window capture.
I could try to screen share it on my end through Discord, and we could do what we did during the collab.
I think that would be great, just because if I do a browser or a window share, it has some of my doxables in it, which is not good. So yes.
Okey-dokes.
Oh, this is so neat. This is so cool.
Let's see.
That's so funny. My clicker wheel is going crazy. Yeah, so I'll put up a screen share, the window share, as soon as you got that. Okay, and then I will share that with the chat.
Okay.
Wait, 1 second, 1 second. Let me get that window up. And then, yep, that's Discord. Do I have streamer mode on? I do have streamer mode on. Yeah. Sorry, this is so scuffed. What should I do? Let me go to the loading screen real quick so I can crop stuff that could be doxable. Give me 1 second, chat. 1 second. I can't even do that though. So... Sorry, I'm struggling how to work OBS so that I don't like show too much, because you can't actually add a stream live, I think. Bear with me. Or I could just paste the link in chat, right? And they can play with it themselves. Such a shame, because I do want to share this. Can I pop this window out? Ooh, I can pop it. Oh, okay, I can pop it out. Okay, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Hold on. I got it. So we'll do this, and then we'll do the part that is popped out only. Yep, that is free of doxables. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. So Resta, what do you have for us?
Well, I got you a cake for your anniversary.
Yeah, a cake. That's so
Recently,
exciting.
your channel's birthday. The thing is, though, is that cakes relative to your size are very big.
That is true.
And here, you can see a bit how big that is. Anywho, here's me. Lore-wise, I think I'm like 4'6" or something. In any case.
Good to know. Good to know. Write that down. Write that down.
And then an egg.
Yeah.
For scale. And a penny, also for scale. Then an ant. Then a tardigrade. Then a human hair under an electron microscope. And there's someone familiar.
That's so
built
fun.
Out of math.
You built it out of math?
Yep.
Wait, for real?
All of this on the left is the equations used.
No way. I was literally about to ask, because I don't think that PNG has feet. Toxo can correct me if I'm wrong, but like the thing that you modeled that off of, I don't think it was drawn with feet. So I was actually just about to ask if you had drawn in feet, but you actually modeled it after math. That's crazy. I love that. That's so cool. That's so funny. That I love. So I don't know. I forget what it's called. I think it's called OneZoom. It might be OneZoom, and that might be something else. But there's a website where you can do this whole thing where you tab through all the different scales of items, starting from like viruses all the way to the size of the observable universe. And I loved playing with that scale. And this is such a good like throwback to that as an idea, as well as referring to the fact that I am just in fact a little guy. That's so good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, MathFi. Yes, that's crazy. Yeah, I know that you can do those things. Okay, so I guess the follow-up question is, did you just know how to do that, or was there like some sort of automated thing that let you do that?
I had an idea and I looked to see in what ways it would be possible. And so I never used this program before.
Ah, gotcha,
uh,
gotcha. So chat's saying that
the only
Krikazad also
prior
has an app.
experience would be those websites you talked about where you can see things at different scales and my knowledge of algebra.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, that was super cool. I had no idea. I was like, oh, there's feet on that model. That's awesome. That's so much fun. Thank you so much, Resta. Yeah, Resta's another one of these like absolute powerhouses, absolute workhorses in the sense that like I told this story on stream, but I was like, you don't have to do much. You know, you can be the React YouTuber and we can read a paper and it'll be cool. And you know, I'm very happy to do that kind of collab, but she kind of took the bull by the horns and came up with her own 101 presentation, which was done better than I think I could have ever hoped to have done. So plenty of things to be very happy about in terms of this collab, and also such a creative gift too. I don't think I would have ever predicted that's what was going to come out of the pirate bottle. Thank you.
I'm happy with it.
Resta, do you have anything to plug coming up?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, there's her link
Unless
to the
you just-
Twitch in the presentation.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you so much. I will definitely be chatting with you in the future. Maybe if I ever get less busy one day, we can play like Mahjong or something, because I'm a big fan of Mahjong as well, and I know you are too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Right. Bye,
Richie.
Rissa. Yeah, Richie, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Resta.
Bye-bye. Do ya?
All right, that was awesome. What fun, what fun. Okay. Yeah, that collab was just a ton of fun. Because again, I'd like to connect with all of my audience, and that was just something that I couldn't do on my own. So I'm really glad that Resta was there to help me out there. Okay, so let's see what else is next. Okay, so looking forward into the future, this is a face that you haven't seen directly on the channel, although Mylan, if you're in chat, you can hop into voice chat too if you want, or if you're no longer in chat, if you've had to go, then I do have the pre-recorded clip as well. But Mylan also got me a gift. So Mylan is a VTuber who makes psychology content on YouTube, and I think the one that I was watching was analyzing the morality of Dungeon Meshi, and they've got a series about statistics heading up into the future, which I'm very excited about. Statistics are somewhat of not a sensitive topic, but rather a topic that gets misinterpreted a lot. And it's also like a bludgeon for 500 IQ Redditors to throw at each other, because it's the easiest thing to claim that your science has bad statistics without really understanding how much statistics matters. And so the fact that they are setting up a stream series where they're going to be going deep into that kind of content really excites me as someone who usually doesn't need more than just a simple t-test. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I generally asked all of my collab members to submit something, but since I have plans to collab with Mylan in the future, I decided that it would be good to invite them on as well. I have more planned as well, and I hadn't asked just because we're not at that stage of planning the collab yet. I'm like pretty sure we're going to be doing a collab, which is why you see them before you. So let's get their gift out, which I'm very excited about. Oh, there's Mylan in chat. Too sleep deprived to speak live. That is fair. Thank you so much for having shown up. I will go ahead and I will show the gift and I will play the voice recording. Oh, that's size. And so this one, let me grab that off of Discord. Yeah, super exciting to chat with Mylan behind the scenes as well, because I feel like while we might differ on the whole cocky academic spectrum, I think we do relate quite a bit in other ways as well. So it's very fun to get to know them. This is what Mylan got me. Look at this. Look at this little guy. My very own figurine. Making merch before I have a chance to make merch. Or at least this could be a prototype. Like this could be real. You know, this time next year, this could be real. I will gladly and proudly display this in future backgrounds. Such a fun little guy. What a handsome fella. Exactly. I'm very happy with this, and I'll go ahead and play the clip that Mylan had sent me. And I think if I do this, it should be fine. I'm just going to play it here, and we'll see what Mylan has to say.
Hey Fi, I heard it's your 1-year streamiversary. I wanted to say congratulations. I've been loving your work so far, and I cannot wait to see what you do in the future. Take care and make sure to celebrate with some cake or something. Bye.
I'm celebrating with something better than cake. I'm celebrating with banana cream pie, the scientifically proven best food possible. But thank you so much, Mylan. It's a very, very fun gift, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Yeah. This is like, I had this idea to do this call-in stream because I loved it when HoloLive did it, and I was really, really worried that nobody would submit gifts. So the fact that I've had so many people submit things was really, really, really special. And so yeah, just wanted to look forward into working with more and more cool people out there. Although I did say to my collaborators, like, I wanted it to be as low key as possible, as I usually am when I collaborate, right? I'm just like, you don't have to work that hard. Anything will be fine. Just to really make it. And also, I told them, if nobody gives me a gift, I'll be fine with that too, because I think that would make for really funny content. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I'd be really kind of sad if like nobody got me anything. So I actually am very thankful and grateful to everybody that has submitted a gift. And now I believe we have the last gift and guest on stream, which is going to be fellow VTuber, a lot of these are VTubers, fellow V-Theory member, Nep. I'm going to go ahead and give Nep a call. How does calling work on Discord? There we go. Let's go ahead and get Nep into a call. Nep.
Oh, hello.
Hello there. Let's
Hi.
get your PNG on the screen.
Yes. I'm gonna see if I can get the one I was working on ready and like maybe show it on here. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to keep the Phi figure up. This is now a centerpiece to my empty room here. Whoa, this is
like it.
something. We're T-posing.
Oh yeah, don't worry about this.
Oh, okay. Interesting choice for a live for a reactive PNG. How are you doing, Nep?
I'm good. You want to see the other ones? It gets better.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Here you go.
Oh, I love this
I'm
one.
Canadian.
I've seen this one on your stream a couple times before. The Canadian
Thank
Nep.
you. Yeah,
My one
I
furniture
made this
stream.
myself. In
So
fact,
cute.
I make them for other people too. This is probably the jankiest one because it was my first, but
it is very cute. Repping Canada over here, I see.
I have this terrifying donut-faced one.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
Oh. So what's the story behind the T-posing one? Let's move away from this.
Well, the T-pose is the VTuber or 3D model I made for myself, just like goofy. And then I was running around in what's it called? VR chat, and this is like a still photo from that where my model was like jankily trying to dance on a pole. It was just dumb. That was the pose that came out of it. And either way, I love it. I think it's funny.
And we have immortalized it in this reactive PNG, which is certainly one of the more unique reactive PNGs I think I've seen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So let's do a little bit of reminiscing about not only V-Theorem, but the collab. Do you remember how the three of us had met?
Yes. Well, I had come across Sidere on Twitter. And I realized, oh my god, there are other educational VTubers. And so I checked her out, and when I came through, you were in the chat at the same time. We just kind of got to chatting a wee bit, found out that what we do kind of aligns, and then we kept talking, I guess.
Yeah, like in terms of what it takes to reach out, I have a very low threshold. Some people like to wait a little longer. It's kind of more like a song and dance, but like I don't know, like the way that you had communicated. So I think we were talking, and you had mentioned that you have like a similar community, Nep's Terrarium, and so I thought, oh, so you are interested in science education. You also have a community going on. Well, I have no community, like no community that I manage. I had my concurrent viewers, but in terms of learning how to actually like have a community, that's something that I had a really hard time with, and I think you were very instrumental in enabling me to attempt to do so, and so I'm very grateful to have your expertise on board, because when all three of us had met, I would say that like we all have complementary skill sets. And I think,
totally.
yeah, community management was something that neither side nor I had any experience with. So,
Yeah, well, you lucky. Well, I should probably not swear so much on your channel. You lucky sons of bees got me with, my background in community development. And I worked as a gardening educator for 5 years before I met you guys. Prior to that, I was even running like a horticultural club on my school campus. So, I've been in this game for at least minimum 7 years.
Yeah, and chatting with someone with so many years of engaging with a public audience, especially an audience that like is very different from, I think, mine, because I think I skew more towards people that are sort of want to do what I do for a living versus like as a lifestyle, right? Would you say that that's accurate?
My education style is very geared towards beginner gardeners,
Yeah.
because personally I learned to garden during university. I had never really gotten into it prior to that. I fell into this, and I'm just enthralled by how much is going on around us, and I want other people to be fascinated by it too. Like looking at the small details in your plants. Like you can walk down the street and you can understand the water movement of the area based on how your plants look. You can see what's going on and say, hey, we had a really nasty winter because of the kind of winter kill we're seeing on these plants. You can tell where the wind is moving through based on branch patterns. Like there's so much to it that's fascinating and just gets missed because we don't know it.
Yeah, and I think like chatting with you behind the scenes, I was like, this is someone who is very, very passionate, not only about the subject, but also about the art of how to communicate that sort of passion. And like to me, in terms of like getting the three of us together to start this thing, I'm very happy with where we began, just because it's one thing to do science content. It's another thing to care a lot about how that content is packaged, and being aware of your audience and being aware about what it takes to have a community are skill sets that I had to sort of learn along the way. And so like it's been very nice to have your guidance in terms of like just modeling, my own Discord after your own, just to like steal stuff that you do has been very very helpful.
Well, I'm glad that, yeah, I'm very proud of my little community that I've built. I mean, I won't say I'm a small streamer anymore. Like I've passed the 1K mark and I'm
Let's
doing
go.
good, but woo, I'm about to hit 1.1K. Very exciting. Yeah, I mean, like I've got a bit more of the VTubing, I guess, time. I've been doing it a little bit longer. But I also approach it super differently from you and Sai in that I am chaotic as, hell. Like you show up in my stream, I'm burping, I'm screaming in chat, I'm
legendary.
But at the same time, people are walking away from this knowing how to differentiate a damselfly and a dragonfly. They're walking away knowing that compost is a critical part of soil health, right? Like it's entertainment. It's educational entertainment.
I always joke with Sai, because like she gets sidetracked in her journal clubs very often. She'll start off with the purest of intentions, be like, we are going to read this paper, and by the end of it we've made it through the introduction because chat keeps sidetracking her. But I actually don't think that's a bug. I'm quite an enjoyer of that format, just because it's really fun to derail her. But what I say is that, like, it's engagement. It's not only entertainment and education, but combined is engagement. It helps you keep in touch with some of the science that goes around in your life, which I find to be, central to the mission that I have. And it's nice to share that vision with other content creators, which has been really great.
Again, prior to meeting you guys, it was my goal to kind of establish an educational VTubing community, and having met you guys was like, oh my god, I don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start, just because, again, there is no central vein for, there were, interestingly, earlier on, like, attempts at connection, which were quite good. But in terms of a group, it didn't appear that a group was publicly visible, we'll say.
Yeah.
So I want to reminisce a little bit about this particular collab, because
oh my god, it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was also like when I was first getting to know you, because I didn't quite know. I learned about you in bursts, I would say, in terms of, like, the more we work together, the more I feel like I know you, which is, like, I think how adult friendship works nowadays, right? Like, for me, I would like to be collaborators first, friends second, in terms of the order of things, just because, there's no time to do it the other way around nowadays. So this was my first foray into actually working with you personally, like on a one-on-one basis, and I had to say, like, it was very surprising, and in a good way, because
I definitely swing from the entertainment aspect full into the science end of the spectrum. I just don't use it as my usual my usual approach to educating. But
and
I realize, that's your style, and I'm like, all right, well, if I'm hanging out here, let's dig in.
And again, with what I've said about all of my collab mates, I'm like, this is my style, this is how I run things. You don't have to, like, go that hard. And then you were up till like 4 a.m. the night before prepping, right?
Oh yeah, I can't even remember how many pages that one paper was, but I showed up with 7 pages of notes, and I taught myself the concept of phytoplasmas.
Yeah, so just as a recap for chat, if you haven't seen the stream, phytoplasma are, like, on the border of living and just an assemblage of organic molecules. They are some of the tiniest pathogens to ever exist, and they infect plants. And so that stream was more, I thought that stream was going to be more in my territory, because it was ostensibly cell and molecular biology, right? There's a pathogen, there are markers for pathogenicity, understanding the biology of a pathogen that's hard to study. I thought this is going to be my thing, and I was actually worried that you were not going to be able to keep up, not because I not like because I don't think you can, but just because I see a lot of molecule stuff, and I'm a little worried that the paper was mostly molecule stuff. But actually, what surprised me is that by the end of it, I started to believe that, oh, actually the molecule stuff wasn't that bad. It wasn't that hard, because you brought in so much expertise on the plant side that I've begun to realize that the reason why I thought it was molecular based was because that's what I drilled in on. Because you had a competing perspective and competing background, I was able to better appreciate the work as a whole, and realized, the parts of the plant stuff that I didn't understand, I just ignored it. Subconsciously, I just didn't bother with figuring it out, and I came to realize, this actually is quite a good collab topic for the both of us to talk about.
Oh yeah, I loved it, because it's definitely something that never came up in my schooling. But granted, I only have my undergrad, so I've definitely not done the same level of schooling. But I do like to think that even though I swing by the mantra of C's get degrees, I took a lot away from school, and that was more important, that I understood my topics rather than getting straight 100% grades,
Yeah, and you also, like, read papers for your actual job too, so that gave me not courage is the wrong word, but, like, that made me feel better about picking an academic paper, because when you had mentioned that you had undergrad, I teach undergrads, and not all of them are very good at reading papers.
I got so lucky in school in that I had a professor that specifically gave us the assignments. I had this guy multiple times because he was the fruit guy. Um, but every course I took with him, he'd have us review a paper, and he made us break paper down so that we understood it, but without talking about the research itself.
Yeah, like the process of understanding, I think, is super important for those in my chat that like the journal club aspect of what I do. Like the brain puzzle it takes to figure out what the truth is, I think, is really important and undervalued, because a lot of press just relies on the thing that was discovered instead of how it was discovered. So when you had communicated that to me, I was like, this is good. This is exactly kind of the attributes that I want to push in terms of innovating within the space of science communication. Not to say that people don't do it, but in terms of, the biggest YouTube channels, Kierkegaard, SciShow, they're still doing the thing that is interesting is the thing, instead of the thing that is interesting is how we got there.
Yeah, what I love about reading these papers and coming at it with that perspective is you can very quickly snuff out the papers that are pushing their findings too hard.
Yes. Oh, I would love to do one of those on stream.
So easily manipulated. Actually, I have a couple that I still have the presentations of. So, like, if you ever wanted to do one of these with me, we can just read the same article, and I've already got everything written up.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, my graduate advisor used to tell me, don't drink the author's Kool-Aid, because they'll tell you what they want you to think the paper says, when in reality you have to be quite disciplined with only looking at the data and coming up with your own conclusions.
And
that's something that's really fun to do.
Data that's presented and recognize whether or not it's a full set, whether or not they've done, error calculations in here, whether they've done, their due diligence as researchers. Provide quality data.
And that process is very fun as well.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. So it is getting kind of late. I do want to end soon, but I do want to look forward to the future. So it's actually good that you've come at this time to looking forward to the future. So we have applications open for V-Theorem. We want to expand just beyond just the three of us. We would really like for the name V-Theorem to be synonymous with quality educational content that is innovative and helpful. And it doesn't really matter like the numbers you bring in. That's not like a thing that we care about, but rather that you are trying and that you are regularly doing educational content that is of high quality. That's what's more important. And we want to connect with more people who do that kind of thing. So in terms of,
I want to push on that end, like the high qualityness does not have to do with how professional you come across on a stream. You do not have to take the professor stance. If you want an example, pop by any of my educational streams, literally any of them, and you'll see like it's a very different style of presenting information, but it's still, it's backed in research, it's backed in science. I'm breaking up the myths of things in horticulture and gardening. It's not your grandma giving you garden advice. It's a registered scientist. Like I have a professional license working in this. I'm licensed by my local government.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing that I've forgotten to mention and maybe wasn't super clear in the application. But yeah, high quality doesn't necessarily mean you do things exactly the way that a teacher would do it. In fact, you should take advantage of the fact that VTubing is such an interesting creative medium that is underexplored, which brings me into a transition. Nep, do you have certain things to plug that are coming up? Speaking of innovative educational things.
I've got two for sure that I'm in the process of just setting a time for. So we'll be doing 2 collaborative educational streams coming up soon, one of which will take place with another Twitch VTuber named OMG Bees, in which case I'm going to redo my bee presentation and teach you guys a bit about the paleo history of bees, the history of beekeeping with humans, and modern day beekeeping. As well as after that, we're going to, at some point, get a collaborative stream going with Entomolomoth. and we'll be doing live insect ID. So we'll both be bringing in images of insects that we've come across, whether we know them or not. We're going to go through the ID process and practice some insect identification together.
Yeah, and that's again, it just goes to show how different education can be by taking advantage of a streaming / VTuber medium that I would never have thought of doing, like an ID stream. That's something new and different and engaging, honestly. There's other stuff that you had pitched to me before. I don't know if you're ready to talk about those, but
I mean, honestly, there's so much that I want to do. I'm happy to talk about any of it.
So it's not like a secret or anything. I can like say what I'm most excited for.
Go for it.
I can't wait to see when you set up outdoor streams, because I genuinely think that would be very, very fun.
I got a camera.
Ooh.
I just need to figure out how it works. I only recently got it earlier this month. A friend of mine who is visiting the city is good with this stuff and is going to help me learn how to do it. And then I'll get to do I'm gonna strap the camera to my head, and we're going to sit outside and we'll practice transplanting. We'll practice pruning. I'll take you through things like how do you harvest fresh greens versus root vegetables, all of that stuff. It'll be lots of fun. And then I'm hopeful to take some people on nature walks.
Doesn't that sound awesome? I think that sounds awesome. Like in terms of pushing the boundaries of, because like for me, I'd say I talk a big game about innovation on YouTube, but actually I'm pretty, I do this. It's not that different from my real job. I think having outdoor horticulture streams is really, really different and really, really interesting.
Just what I've kind of come to the conclusion of is I can't show you guys how to transplant shit at my computer desk.
Yeah.
That's just a bad idea.
Your science needs to be outdoors. That is true.
Yeah, it really does. And that's a very different thing for being a VTuber.
Yeah.
For sure.
I can't wait to see how that shakes out. Is there anything else you want to plug before we say bye?
To show off the art I made you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I got too wrapped up in chatting that I forgot to put your gift on stream. Sorry. My bad.
Oh, yeah. You are correct, Marlon. The Science of Touching Grass. I have every intention of doing a grass PowerPoint stream at some point where I walk you through what grass is, and I make fun of you guys for not knowing what grass is.
I can't wait to be talked down upon by an anime person online. Look at what Nep freaking drew. This is so cute. Thank you so much for this piece of work. I am I'm kind of curious as to what the the vision was behind this drawing, like what it inspired you to draw it in this manner.
Honestly, I really suck at drawing chibis, so I look up inspo online, outlines and stuff, so I can get an idea of how to draw the shapes, and I came across this one with 3 goobers on top of each other, and I turned it into a stack of the 3 of us with some party hats, and I love it.
Yeah, it's very sweet. I think this is like the perfect gift to end, like this to have as like an ending graphic, just not only like the Ethereum graphic in the background, but also again with the collaborators first, friends later. It's like it has been a lot of fun working with all of you, and I think we've come to know each other quite a bit more, which has been very fun and different and unexpected in a lot of different ways. I love this like Charlie Brown aesthetic too. Like this is really fantastic.
Thank you.
And
yeah, I had a lot of fun making it. And I guess for anyone who is also not familiar with me, the majority of my stream elements are handmade.
Yeah, Nep's visual IQ is quite high. I refer to it as visual IQ because I think what I really respect, in terms of your content, in terms of how you set it up, is your visual brand ID is very, very strong. That's like YouTuber meta speak. But honestly, you walk into a Nep stream and it feels like you've walked into a garden, even if you're not really out there, because of the handmade assets. And in traditional medium too. So the fact that it isn't digital does make it feel more earthy, if you will, and I think that's really cool and very fun.
Yeah, lots of hand cam on my channel.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't have much else to plug at the moment. I've had a great time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you. I will chat with you later, Nep, but thanks for stopping by. Thank you so much.
Bye guys. Bye.
Bye. Oh, it has been quite the stream, quite the amount of yapping. How are you all doing? But we've come to the end of it, and I again, as I mentioned while Mylan's gift was on stream, on the screen, I was really afraid that like I wouldn't get anything, for a while, and then like as the gifts started coming in, I was like, oh, okay, I can actually pull this off. Just because I love like the HoloLive birthday call-in streams. They're some of my favorite streams just because it's like a nice way to hang out with your content creation friends and do something nice. And if they want to set something up like this for themselves, I'm very happy to contribute, although I am the least talented artist that I know, which is why you see so much Adobe stock photos in my videos, because I can't draw. I'm very envious. Envy is maybe the wrong word. I have high respect for people who can put pen to paper and put an idea out there and make it visual, just because that's not something that I've ever been able to do, because I lack the discipline. Yeah. Oh, Nep, you forgot a plug. What's the plug? What's the plug? What are we plugging? How am I doing, Mylan? I'm doing quite well. My voice is starting to go. I have half a banana cream pie slice ready to eat as soon as I finish this stream. And, yeah. Nep, is there something you want to plug? Otherwise, I'll just keep chatting. Oh, Shopping Network Streamathon next month. Right. Nep does these Shopping Network streams, which also, again, if we're talking about brand ID, she has these streams where she has these, I don't know, Nep, if you can, how to describe them. Because if we're talking about unique, as something, it's certainly never something that I've ever seen being done before. But it's like you play like old infomercials or infomercial type things, and you have this whole setup where it is set up like a shopping network, which I think is really fun. It's just out there. It is out there. I highly recommend, if you're looking for something that you can definitely not predict, you should go check out Nep's channel. Just half, you should have more. Oh, don't worry, Hair Day. There's another probably 1 1/3 pies in the fridge. I didn't want to make eating noises on stream, so I stopped eating when Toxo had left. If anyone wants to hawk some fake products, just let me know. Yeah, those are very fun. I might be able to draw you a fake product. Let me know if you want me to attempt at making something worth selling, perhaps. All right. Oh, okay, so 3 hours and a half of yapping. If you look at my channel over time, I think my first stream was just about an hour, and I would do only hours because I would just run out of things to say. But, you know, in terms of talking about the evolution of the channel, I certainly have had more time to hone in the yapping ability. Although, I think I am still learning. There are really good yappers out there. I highly recommend you check them out. And I've actually learned a bit about the art of yapping just by watching others yap, which is kind of fun from a content perspective. All right, rest, drink water. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Mylan. Thanks for stopping by. I will do all of those things. I did a little extra reading. 14 kilobases is not actually a huge distance. Human genes spans 200. That's interesting. Sorry, I just had to read that as it says science words and my eyes defaulted there. In terms of plugs from me, I will have... Oh, okay, members. Members, we are doing a members only stream where we are going to head over and watch the first piece of content I ever did for the 5 and Neutrophil channel before I was even a VTuber. So I will take a short break, and you know, if members, if you can't make it, it'll be available as a VOD, a members only VOD for you to peruse. I don't want to ever publish this video because it's not in line with my current brand, but if you're curious as to like what really rough alpha version Phi content was, we can hop in and watch it together. And with that in mind, I will see you all in just a little bit. Bye. Bye, all. Bye.